Boom, giggity go. What up, everybody? Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 231st live stream from the Misfit Gamer Studios. I am your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today's episode, we are doing another pop culture build because it's been a while, and I have been very excited for like a week to do this because we were supposed to do it last week, and then we couldn't. Now we're going to do it this week, but we are doing it today, and we're going to make Goku. I am so excited about this because I've had this idea brewing for like 2 weeks now, and I want to finally do it. So we have a tri-class character build coming up for you right now. Well, right now, there's some updates. We're gonna chit chat for a bit, but
very true.
Tonight, we're making Goku.
We made it happen.
Yeah, I don't know how we're gonna do that because it's a lot of work to like try to put it up on stream and everything. Oh, I gotta flip my camera because you're here now, so it looks like I'm looking away from you.
Oh, that's valid.
And I can't have that. Transform, flip. Well, no. Wrong axis. There, now. See, now I can actually look at you and it looks like I'm looking at you. And then I'm looking at chat over here. Yeah. All right, so mostly things have been set up for the subathon tomorrow.
Okay.
So
yes, very excited for that.
We don't know exactly how the cameras will look. I might add one more camera like up here. But yeah, we're probably just gonna be chilling out here. I think we have a couple different ideas that we want to do. I don't know how we want to roll out with it. I don't know. You're going to bring your game system.
Yep.
So we do have the option to, it will be part of one of the sub goals is to game with us. So we will have Kage in here in the studio.
That's right.
But we will both have our systems. So we still can do gaming with subs, and it will be a sub only game. So it's gaming with chat, but it's gaming with subs only.
Okay. So
that'll be an option for the subathon tomorrow. Same things applied. Sour candies, Bean Boozled,
I'm here for
hot
it.
sauce. So all of those are things that they can force us to do. I gotta find it. I still have it in there somewhere, but I do have the hair dye that I had last time. So they can pay bits and stuff, and I can do strands of color in my hair.
Fire.
So there's that option. And then there are some other redemption options that are in there, some, cocktail based ones, kind of things that just hint at everything that we've done.
Fun stuff.
But yeah, so how we want to roll this out, the gaming with the subs will be much later. That will be probably towards the end, simply because they'll have to earn it first. So beyond that, I'm scheduling it for about 4 hours. And then of course, every sub adds to the time frame, and we just kind of go from there. People can buy more time and all of that kind of good stuff. So I guess it really just comes down to, how do we want to break it out? Do we want to try to shoot for one thing an hour, or do we just want to have a list of stuff and do it while the vibe feels right? Because I don't mind saying we only have an hour to do things, because then it also kind of puts us on the clock, because it's part of the subathon, right? Like, we have an hour to do this thing. Like, maybe we do, like, maybe I have a mini and we have 1 hour to paint it, but we both have to paint it. So it's like, I have to paint for a little bit, and then I have to give it to you paint a little bit, and then you have
the same mini.
Yeah. Like we could do, like, so if we wanted to do something like that, where we have a time frame that we have to get something done, right? Maybe the next hour we have 1 hour to build a whole subclass. You know what I mean? Like,
that could be fun.
And maybe the thing is, like, chat will have to vote. So every hour, top of every hour, chat votes.
Oh, if we put chat in there, it's gonna take us. It might take us a minute.
Yeah,
that might eat into our time.
But you know what I'm saying is, like, just be able, or right as the top of the hour's coming up, like, we'll put out like a poll to chat, and they'll choose the theme. So maybe that's what we have to do, is maybe we have like a couple themes that chat can choose from, and at the top of every hour they'll vote on what do we have an hour to do.
Okay, interesting.
You down for that? Like, does that sound pretty good?
I'm down for that. I'm totally down for that.
Okay, so what would we have? Like, obviously we can do a mini. I think I have a tiny ass mini, but I do have one. I mean, worst case, we could just run over to the shop in the morning and go pick up a mini.
True.
So okay, so we'll do so a mini painting, but I think it would be more fun if we had to paint the same mini. Yeah,
I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay,
but then we'd have to like set a nice little. We should get one of those game timers and just like flip the game timer. Like, you painted for one go of the hourglass, and then switch it whenever the hourglass runs out. That'd be legit.
And then we just put it where chat, any donation, sub, or anything automatically flips it.
Yep. Okay.
So they just do like a biddy or something. It's like, fuck, you go. Hey, no, you go. No, you go.
Switch again. I do that. Oh yeah.
Oh, we can even make like another redeemable where like we have to paint it at the same time.
Oh, like
we have to just sit there and like
get that side. I'll get this side.
Okay, so paint the same mini. I really do like that. Let's see what else. What else would we be willing to do? Do we want to try to like put on a creation?
I think a creation is definitely on the table. I don't know if like I'm thinking of like what type of creation, whether it be
like a subclass would be a lot easier, a race would be a lot easier, a background,
yeah,
a spell. But if we're gonna do it in like an hour, like if we're gonna give ourselves like hour blocks, it's gotta be
image to item. Image to item was always fun, and that's pretty.
You know what?
Simple.
Let's bring that back. Yeah. I think I still have a couple images that we haven't transferred yet. So
okay.
I think we can work with that.
Sounds legit.
Okay. Image to item, and that means that chat has the next 12 hours, 15 hours to submit some more images.
That's right. Heck yes.
Okay, so painting, image to item. Let's see, what else could we do? I want at least 5 of these so they have different things to vote on. So we'll create something, we'll paint something.
I do have a collection of spells and things that we can review. We can do like some rapid fire review.
Ooh, okay. Rapid fire review. I like this. Yeah.
We might be able to run through some backgrounds, for a little bit, and then maybe if they, well, see, that would kind of interrupt, like if it was in the middle of a review, but
you know what would actually be, if I have time. What would be really interesting, like during rapid fire review, like at any point, like what if we both came up with I wish we could come up with some unique questions. I wish, again, if we had more people that we knew would be there, we could have chat do it. But it would be interesting if we had like a list of questions that neither of us knew ahead of time that we could do like rapid fire answers, where it was just like, like what's your favorite class? Like, like sword or dagger, bow or spear, like just kind of those like quick little D&D questions,
sure.
like, good or evil. It's like, do you prefer magic or divine, magic, like regular magic, divine magic, do you prefer, like, just if we could get,
I do like that,
like kind of like rapid fire things where we have to choose, or maybe just do quick little brief, nothing that would require a whole explanation, just like quick little. Okay, I will see, maybe I can, like, it's hard because I don't know how I can't really like develop a list or review a list without knowing what's coming up, and then that kind of
exactly. That's rude.
Yeah, we only need 2 more items though. I do like rapid fire review. That's a really cool.
Okay. Think. I mean, theoretically, we still have gaming on there.
Gaming's something that they can earn. We could do live play. Like we could offer like a live play of Daubed if you ever want to continue that conversation.
I would love to do that. Okay.
Well, or we could live play a recap of Old Gods 2, however, to a certain extent. I mean,
I would be mad at that.
I'm just trying to think of like what else,
how down, because I know one of the other things with Daubed that is, we'll say, on the to-do list is earthbending.
Oh yeah. Come
trying to figure out what exactly that what that looks like, and like how it'll inevitably progress,
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's something that you would.
Yeah, that's not necessarily. I don't think that will have the same entertainment factor.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the live play, at least, because that's an active conversation, at least, people, because again, I'm starting to realize that there is some value in showing old school, less acting, more actual play.
For sure.
I have been noticing that there is a movement right now in the greater community that the consensus is actual plays are just getting overrun with this over
theatrical.
Yeah, just overproduction. And most people are just getting the wrong idea of what really gaming is, and I kind of do miss that. I kind of, because my gaming is very old school, very theater of the mind. Most of it's either high level descriptions. Sometimes we're in character. Sometimes it's third person. Sometimes it's just I'm gonna make a concept and you can visualize it however you want, kind of thing. So I think that there would be where we could like try to figure that out. You want us to play Oregon Trail? Yeah.
God,
put it in the Discord. Put it in the Discord. And I'll go down. I think it's on Steam. Just remind me in the Discord to go download that, and I will absolutely do it.
Oregon Trail. You just want me to have dysentery.
So should I put live play on there for now? Do you want to try it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do a live play.
I would definitely be down for that.
I know we have a redemption in chat, so I will get to that in a second. But does anybody have any other ideas of what you would potentially like to see or vote on as a hour-long segment for the subathon? Either a challenge that we have to complete, a topic we want to discuss, just what would be something that you would like to see us do limited to the chunk of an hour or within the chunk of an hour. Because I think if we have 5 and we have at least default 4 hours, that way they'll have a choice that won't be a guaranteed, won't necessarily go through all of them.
This is maybe this is a bad idea, but I just had the thought about a random rant. So it's like you get like a prompt from either one another or from chat, and you just kind of go on a random rant about that thing.
Kind of like it reminds me of Kevin Smith stand-ups. Have you ever seen when he does that?
Really?
So Kevin's the director, right?
Yeah.
Usually when he does his like specials,
his comedy,
it's the whole thing is supposed to be a Q&A. Like the whole premise is he's out there with an audience and it's a whole Q&A. So have this Q&A, it's usually like a comedy special, but he's notorious for only ever answering one question. It's like a 2-hour long special. So it will be this whole grand thing, come here to have a Q&A, and he'll pick someone
first person to answer the question.
Like, and literally sometimes it's just like so when you were making Dogma and you were working with Jason Mewes, like what was some of like your biggest like issues on set? And he'd be like, that's a fantastic question, I'm gonna get to that. And then literally he will spend 2 hours the entire special like he'll be like, oh yeah, so there was these times where we would butt heads on creative ideas, and then he would just not want to be in front of camera one day, and then there was this one day where he just disappeared and got drunk one time, and then there was this other actor that he was having a really hard and he'll just story after story after story after rant, and it will be tangenty, but it will still be within the realm of like
answering
this is
question.
all still his question.
It's theoretically relevant.
And somehow he usually will end the special. It's like, oh yeah, cool, yeah. So that was some of the challenges that we had. All right, thanks everybody. But it's like you expect to go there to have like this multiple Q&A, but he's notorious for just.
That's so wild.
He'll take the first question and he will just and it's amazing. I
fucking love that.
Okay, so should we try that then? So random rants. So we'll just get fed a topic of the like finances. What do you want to rant about? Finance? Just anyone can just throw us a topic. Or a theme.
I would think it would be like related to D&D, like related to like so if it is finances, like how do you deal with like finances or
perfect.
Like financial stuff in D&D?
Random rants D&D
even
theme.
If it's politics, like how do you deal with like politics and your kingship or your presidencies or like whatever? But just like take whatever the potential topic is and how do you view it, use it, whatever. When I feel like Daft Punk, write it, use it.
That's actually a really good idea, though. All right, that's 5. Yeah, so paint the same mini, image to item, rapid fire review, live play, and random rants. That's 5 things to vote for. And if we get enough subs that they extend beyond that, that'll be a 5th hour. And then if they get enough subs by the 6th hour, we'll probably end up doing the hour gameplay. That'll probably be enough subs to do hour gameplay. So.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that sets us up really beautifully for tomorrow. So I pretty much have everything set up. I guess it just depends on how early I want to wake up and get it all like started.
Sure.
Because I don't ever know with our audience like what time of day is the best. Is the difference of an hour gonna really matter? Like if we start at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time versus 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Like you had mentioned, the earlier we start, the more likely Hoylepa might be able to show up.
Right.
But beyond that,
sure.
I don't know if anyone else is even going to be able to like make it that early or late. I don't know what our time frames are compared to everybody.
I mean, it's just Saturday. I would think to me, this feels like Saturday morning cartoons. What time are you really watching Saturday morning cartoons?
Yeah, that's true.
If you're a real one, you're not waking up until like after 10 o'clock. Because like when else do you get to sleep in? You're waking up early. Although the good cartoons were on.
Like you did kind of have to wake up a little early to really catch the badass ones. So
I guess that's fair.
But all right, so I guess that will just be we'll like play it by ear. No later than 11 we'll start, but we'll try to start by 10. Like we'll just kind of see it, check in the morning, see how we feel. Because if I don't wake up till like 9, I'm not gonna want to start at 10.
Yeah, fair enough.
But if I wake up at like 7 or 8 and I get some time to just chill, get my coffee, wake up,
sure,
we can try to start till 10. But that'll be either 10 to 2 or 11 to 3, and every sub will add time, bits add time. There's a whole bunch of stuff that adds time.
Cool.
So yeah, we'll just be around until the timer runs out. What did you miss? Just talking about the subathon. Just came up with a couple ideas for what we're actually gonna do. So we have a solid list.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh, we missed something in chat. I haven't watched Dragon Ball. Okay, that was not that one. We have a this or that from Cart. All right, so starting off with Cart's this or that. Let's set it up with a long-awaited one. Okay. Who do you think would win in a long-stood rivalry of wits and battle preparation? An Elder Brain versus the Oblex. The Elder Brain versus the Oblex. Okay, let me... Right off the top of my head, I'm not remembering Oblex enough.
Me either.
Okay, so the Oblex are the oozes created by the mind flares set on their creatures' memories. They were capable of using memories to create replicas of their victims. They use it for their hunting feed. Gotcha. Okay.
Initially, I'm thinking Elder Brain.
Elder Brain was the final stage of a mind flare life cycle. Elder Brain lived in the brine pool in the center of the mind flare city, where it guided. But
are they after each other? Like, is it like? Are they meant to be like fighting and trying to kill each other? Is that what the question is?
The Elder Brain can cast spells and it's extremely intelligent, but the Oblek,
I feel like the Elder Brain has the ability to control others, and I don't know if the Oblek has the ability to do that. And if the Elder Brain can amass itself an army of other people with influence in the country to be able to do all kinds of that's my understanding of like how Elder Brains function. Is like, yeah, they're powerful in themselves and they can cast spells, but they can also, lightweight enslave an entire people. And
and the Oblek really their whole thing is trap. Like they lure you in and then they kill you. But their whole thing is really preying on your weaknesses. There's not a lot that they can do, so I'm really not sure what threat they pose to the Elder Brain, especially because I think the Elder Brain would be able to see through the disguise regardless. So I don't think the Oblek would ever get close enough without the Oblek noticing. And a straight one-to-one fight, the Oblek even has physical attacks. So I think it could just outright win. Like, if it doesn't take it over, if it can't cast a spell on it, I still think physically it could overtake it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Oblek really brings to the table. Because they attack memories, rendering a victim unconscious if hit multiple times, and they're capable of physically slamming the opponent using pseudopods. But the Elder Brain, intelligent godlike portions, its only physical attack was using its tendrils to lash out and grapple an opponent. So mind flares protected their elder. So yeah, and it has protectors. So yeah, I don't know in what situation the Oblek would really have the advantage. And if they already have the advantage to have that, then again, it's just they both have very strong weaknesses, but also in very unique situations, they both easily topple the other. So I think it really just comes down to, if it's a one-on-one and it's a physical fight, it's kind of 50-50. If the Oblek gets close enough and could technically knock it out, then it wins.
Sure.
But if that tendril technically is powerful enough, it depends on how strong that attack is compared to the Oblek.
Is it indicate on there like what their relative health is compared to each other?
It's challenge rating 14 for the Elder Brain.
Okay.
I have no stats on it.
Okay. 14 gives me a good idea.
Oblek is a challenge rating. If it's a spawn, it's a quarter. If it's an adult, it's 5. And if it's an elder, it's a 10.
10 versus a, what did you say, 14?
Yeah. It can be huge. It can be considered huge, whereas an elder brain is considered large.
Yeah, I still.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with elder brain. I think it just has too many advantages in most situations. I think the only way the ooze is winning is if the elder brain's completely alone and somehow missed all of its attacks, and the ooze just closed distance, like, and it couldn't get away. Like that's really the only way I think the ooze is winning, is just by sheer preservation of dumb luck.
Yeah,
that would be my call.
That was my initial instinct, to be honest.
Everything in terms of yeah, because the oblek can be 3 different sizes, elder being the last. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't think the oblek really has.
And I'll give it, because I think Elder Brain is like the final form of, I don't know, a mind.
It's
flare.
the final stage of the mind flare.
Yeah.
So it is.
I would take the most final stage of the oblek as well. You know, in fairness.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the most powerful stage of that, and comparing them against each other.
So yeah, it would be huge versus large.
And it's only one size category bigger.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's gonna make the difference of one of them winning versus the other one, but you know, it definitely is an advantage. Could continue to push somebody over the top, but
it does get the spell color spray.
Oblek?
Yeah, I mean, you know,
oof. Color spray. Well, that's a nice little. Was it first level spell? Or was that a cantrip?
That's a first level spell.
Okay.
Create vivid cone of fan shape clothing colors, spray forth. Yeah. Man, that would really scare somebody sometime. Another list of that. Salamander versus the snow snake. Who would win? I don't know enough about either of their attacks.
Are you talking about the snow snake you created, Hecate?
Yeah, I think if there's not a basic one, because honestly, I don't think there is a basic snow snake. I know that there's a basic salamander.
Is there?
Snow snake. Okay, I'm not familiar with the snow snake.
I'm not familiar with the salamander. Like, I've heard of one before, but in 5e I haven't specifically ran one. Or
snow serpent. You're talking about the white-furred snake, also known as snow serpents? Yeah, okay. It's a 2nd edition creature.
This salamander's only a challenge rating 5.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting here too. Heated body. Creature that touches the salamander or hits it with attack takes 2d6 fire. Heated weapons does fire damage. It gets multi-attack, spear and tail. Resistance against bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical. Okay. But it doesn't have... It has immunity to fire, but it doesn't have any vulnerabilities. Whereas the snake... let's see.
What's this snake called?
White furred snake is the one that I found. It's also called snow snake. There's a spell called snow snake?
Really?
That one briefly conjures a snake.
What level spell is it?
5th level spell. There's a Reddit post about it, a CR17 monster. I can't find a source for it. So Yeah, unless you can give us Hagate, unless you can give us some stats on the snow serpent. I don't know, because if the snow serpent is at all vulnerable to fire damage, then it's probably going to lose very quickly. The salamander is not vulnerable to any ice.
I will say, what I would say is, I'm looking in here and I just look at under 5A, I search snake and I see a fire snake.
Yeah.
So I look at the stats of this fire snake because I don't think it's the same as a salamander.
It's a serpent at Hecate.
Oh, so okay.
Gotcha. Let's see.
I can look that up real quick.
Well, nope, I guess not. I guess I'll have to go to the leaderboard. Snow serpent. There we are. Okay, quick little side by side. So 15 versus 16 armor class, 90 versus 97 hit points, and the snow serpent is faster and it has burrow, so that's going to automatically give it an advantage.
I think
it has more health and it has more armor class and it's faster.
Did we say that this only works in its natural environment?
Through snow and ice. Yeah, through snow and ice. So burrow only works to snow and ice, but it still has its regular 40 speed versus the salamander's 30.
Sure.
So it's faster. It has 7 more hit points, has 1 more AC. Stats are comparable.
Okay.
Yeah, stats are comparable. Dexterity isn't enough to matter.
Is it higher though?
Dexterity is only higher by 2 on the serpent. Everything else is negligible.
Okay.
Okay. No. Damage vulnerability. I didn't read that. So the salamander is vulnerable to cold. The serpent is not vulnerable to heat.
Okay.
Ice camouflage. Snow serpent has advantage made to hide in snowy terrain. Cold aura. A creature that starts its turn within 10 feet must make a saving throw or take the same cold damage as the salamander. So that's really going to put it in. Yeah, that's basically going to make the snow serpent win, because just combat in general is going to make it so.
Yeah, because most of their stuff's got to be melee.
Yeah.
And unless does the salamander have any sort of like breath attack or anything like that?
It has the heated body, so only when it gets hit with a melee attack within 5 feet. So as long as the snow serpent stayed within 10 feet, the salamander is always taking damage.
But I could see an argument when it comes to, like, I don't know how intelligent these creatures are, or if they're beasts. Although
the serpent's only okay. Actually, that might be different. The serpent's 3 intelligence. The salamander is an 11. So the salamander can think it's
because that looks almost like it's wielding a weapon, almost like it has,
It has a spear,
a significant amount of.
And it is a ranged weapon. It is a ranged weapon. It doesn't have reach, but it is ranged.
So with that, I would say.
Oh, but his tail does have reach. It is a 10-foot reach on tail.
So I would even say, especially if it like takes damage within 5 feet. Imagine this thing wraps itself around the other thing.
Well, right? Only when it's attacked by a melee weapon. So when you attack it via melee, then you get the fire.
So I'm assuming that this creature, again, being intelligence of what you said, 3, right?
The snow serpent. The snow serpent.
I think it's just going to be attacking. So even if he wraps himself around him and he's within 5 feet, I still think the snow serpent will continue to attack or attempt to do whatever. So even if it is taking damage,
the intelligence does play into it. I don't know. It's
I think there's a world it could happen.
It's a very close battle. I still think there's more chances the snow serpent probably takes. Just the pure numbers alone are in the snow serpent.
Are they the same size category?
Yes, they're both large.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm just gonna say the numbers give it to the snow serpent, but in favor of the intelligence, the salamander's gonna put it up.
I'm optimistic. Yeah. Accurate.
Let's see. Ooh, DM question from Cart. Hot take, but Revivify and Resurrection are too close together and should be reworked to have different occurrences and components. Okay.
Occurrences? Like uses maybe.
Yeah, like I think, yeah. So I think they're too much of the same thing as what they're trying to say. So let's let me pull up those. It's been a minute since I've read them specifically. All right, Revivify is 3rd level, Resurrection 7th. Okay, so Revivify, action, touch. Creature that's died within a minute. Diamonds worth 300 GP. Instantaneous. Artificer, Cleric, Druid, Paladin, Ranger. Touch a creature that's died within the last minute. Creature comes back with 1 hit point. Spell can't return a creature that has died of old age, nor can it restore any missing body parts. So basically, this is designed for someone who died in combat and failed saving throws. Let's say what it is.
Sure.
You died in combat, you failed saving throws. That is 100% what this 3rd level spell is for.
Sure.
It is your get out of jail free card after combat, and you don't want to lose your PC.
And you better have that 300 GP diamond.
Yeah, well, your cleric better, whoever has this, but like this is your backup plan. This is your ace in the hole. This is your get out of jail free card. This is just your run of the mill. This is combat focused purpose. So I get it. Now, Resurrection, 7th level, 1 hour, touch. Creature that's been dead for no more than a century, that didn't die of old age and isn't already undead. Fair. A little bit expanded, but for the most part, again, someone who went down. Diamond worth at least 1,000, so it's only 3 times as much of the cost.
Okay.
Instantaneous. This one's only Bard, Cleric, Occultist, whereas the other one was Artificer, Cleric, Druid, Paladin, Ranger. Interesting that they brought the Bard into that.
Interesting that they have Occultist, because I don't know what that class is.
You touch a dead creature that's been dead for no more than a century, that didn't die of old age, and isn't undead. If its soul is free and willing, the target returns to life with all of its hit points. Spell neutralizes any poisons, cures normal diseases affecting the creature when it died. It doesn't, however, remove magical diseases, curses, and the like, such as effects of prior casting, any blah, blah, blah. This spell closes all mortal wounds, restores any missing body parts. Coming back from the dead is an ordeal. The target takes a -4 penalty to all attack rolls, saving throws, and ability checks every time the target finishes a long rest. This penalty is reduced by 1. Casting the spell to restore life to a creature that has been dead for 1 year or longer taxes you greatly. Until you finish long rest, you can't cast spells again, and you have disadvantage on all attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws. Now, I just take issue with this last part with 5e, because who the fuck's casting this and not immediately taking a long rest? Go fuck yourself. This idea of, oh, you cast this, you can't cast spells. Okay. Like, that's 5e doesn't work with this idea of, oh, but it's only 3 p.m. I have 7 hours without my...
Sure.
Go take a fucking long rest. You're not doing this in the middle of... Well, maybe if you're doing this in the middle of a dungeon crawl, maybe, is the only thing I can think of. But sure. I'm just like, 5th edition doesn't give a shit about that shit.
And again, you're doing this in the middle of a dungeon crawl. What point in time are you going to need Resurrection rather than Revivify? Like, to be very honest.
And this idea of like you res someone and then they have -4 penalty checks. I mean, is that just to prevent you from resing a super powerful NPC to just help you through the dungeon? Like, it just seems like a little shoehorny. But
yeah.
So the question is, what do we think about whether or not these are too similar? Should they be? So the question was, whether or not they're too similar, too close together. Should they be reworked to have different effects, or at least spell components? Because they both require a diamond of different variances. So should that be different? And should they have a more varying aspect of effects? Because realistically, one's bringing someone fresh out of death saves, the other one's bringing back up to a century old creature, full health, re-giving body parts.
I just had an idea, and I kind of really like it. I don't know about Revivify. I'm gonna leave that one on pause for a second. But at the very least, Resurrection, I think it should cost both the caster and the casted hit point total. I think it should reduce your hit point maximum when you cast Resurrection. And I think it should probably also reduce the hit point maximum of the person being revivified. I think it should not like a crazy amount, but
like 10 points for every level of the creature being rezzed.
That's quite a bit.
I mean, that's, well, maybe not 10, maybe 50 or 5. So it's like for a level 10 creature, that's 50 hit points that you have to use. So maybe that's a little bit too much. Again, well, again, what level of a creature are you like what's the maximum amount you think like how much should it cost?
That's fair.
To res a level 20. So let's put it that way first. We go to the extreme, then backtrack. If you found a level 20 dead NPC and you had the opportunity to res it and bring it onto your team, how much should that cost you in permanent HP to permanently gain a party member?
Now, again, first of all, you're just resurrecting them. You're not guaranteeing that they're going to be amenable to whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, I'm just trying to put it in the most extreme case. Of,
yes,
if it was perfectly beneficial, right? If the whole point was this is the most beneficial choice, at what point would it no longer be valid to even do? Would 100 be too much for a level 20?
I don't want it to be so detrimental that they feel like it's not worth doing, but I want it to be costly that they don't want to just do it rapid fire all the time.
Okay, because 100 is like that's one time in my life I'm ready.
Yes, like it's 20. Like this is the only time I'm ever going to use resurrection. Like I don't think that.
So what about it cost you a permanent HP per level of the res?
That is something that I would absolutely.
If you want a level 20 character, 20 HP,
20 hit points, like that's a chunk of your hit points.
Or no, that wouldn't work. No, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't make any sense. I was gonna say like both of yours combined, but then it's always gonna cost you more the more powerful you get. That doesn't make any sense.
I do think it again. I think it should be the same for the person being revived as well.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, again, it's because we talked about this before. There should be a higher price for dying.
That's true. You shouldn't be able to come back that easily.
I don't think people. I think people think coming back to life is like a get out of jail free card. It should be costly. It should be something you want to desperately avoid.
It's kind of like the idea of the cat with 9 lives. You have to lose something because it's not infinite. You can't come back an infinite.
And that's the thing.
So you have to lose the ability somehow, and that tether is your HP.
Yes.
Eventually, because we talked about what HP is, it's your ability to keep going, and eventually your body
closer and closer to death.
Yeah, and so it's like your body is just simply saying, I can't hold on to this. Like your soul is so far. You've been cut away from the mortal plane so many times. You were so thin that I just can't bind you back. I like that. So if you did like an HP, each the reviver and the revivee each lose a single HP per level of the revivee.
Yes.
Yes. I like that.
Now, I think
I also would add on, just for some extra fun, 1 point of exhaustion for every 10 HP, or for every 10 levels. So that, or maybe one for every 5 levels. So if you want to level 20, you got to sacrifice 20 HP.
I do like that. Yeah, because that kind of goes into what they were talking about at the bottom of like having disadvantage. That's basically just a level of exhaustion.
Yeah, but both of you. So it's like not only did you have to lose 20, but you now both have 4 levels of exhaustion.
Yeah.
So I would say something like that is how I do it. But otherwise, overall though, in general, I don't think that there's any need to separate these, because my biggest thing is they both serve their purpose. They're far enough away from each other that this one definitely earns being able to do all the extras.
Sure.
But then the question, I think this begs the question from the idea of, well, should these be separated? Well, what else would you want it to do? Like, if these are doing something too similar, unless you wanted to change the material component just to be more flavorfully different, what functionally changes? Like, what would you, because this one revives you from a lot longer, full hit points, revitalizes the body, whereas the other one is just a pop-up.
I don't understand why that's a bad thing.
No,
like,
that's the thing.
Because what I mean is, like, think about cure wounds and mass cure wounds. Think about healing word and mass healing word. Like, there is such a thing as a more powerful version of a lower level spell.
That's I think these are great.
I think this is.
I think they're fine. So that's my question is like, what would be the difference if we were to say that these need to be more separate? What would the other one do? Because one literally just pops you up from your last saving throw. This one makes you whole. If that's not different enough, what else could it have done? And that's where I'm going to struggle. Is like, I don't think that these are a problem. Now, granted, I do miss having things like regenerate. like having some sort of regenerate spell, so you can get limbs back.
I think they have one. They have a spell like that.
Because it's like realistically, when it comes to bringing things back to life, like you have all of the necromancy spells, right? Like
7th level.
Yeah, like you have like undead, and you have like all of that kind of stuff. So actually, that's interesting. If regenerate is a 7th level spell, I wonder if this one should be higher because it's doing way more than that. And
it does regenerate. It does say it in there will regenerate.
Yeah, but the fact that regenerate is 7th level, but this one brings you back to life and regenerates you at the same level.
Yeah,
this one almost sounds like it should be 9th level, if that one already regenerates you.
Because I think there's resurrection and then there's true resurrection. Now that I don't know what the difference of true resurrection versus resurrection is. But
I'm assuming true resurrection just means that you get absolutely 0 detriments when coming back. And
I think it might be able to pull people from places that they
200 years and died for any reason except old age. Their soul is free and willing, all hit points, all wounds, poisons. Spell can even provide a new body if the original doesn't exist. So that one literally brings the soul back to the mortal plane. It's not just into the new body. It's not into the old body. It's into the plane with a fresh body. Like, it's just basically a perfect you were back as you were.
Now, can you make this body look like whatever you want, or is it like specifically tied to their original form?
The spell can provide a new body. I'm assuming it just creates the exact copy of what it was. So yeah, so I would say that I don't really think that those two, particularly in my opinion, need to be separated out. I don't know what else they would do, because again, if they didn't just die in combat, what else do you need? Like, you have the one that does, because you don't want this, you don't want to wait till 7th level to pick someone up in combat, but you also don't want that one to do anything more than pick them back up in combat. This one does all of that and more. I wouldn't want it to do any more, but I also wouldn't want it to do anything less.
Yeah.
So I'm good. I think that
I agree.
There's not much
that
can be done.
For the most part, like where they're at. I do like my idea. And I also trying to decide whether I should add at least a portion of that idea to
so Cart says, I just strongly feel and think that resurrection means a rebirth of sorts, so not allowing to bring it back. A creature that died of old age is counterfeit to what it says. So, well, but see, that's it though. If you're talking about like a rebirth, that's there's another spell for that. That's a reincarnation. There is a reincarnation spell that allows you to bring back a soul, but they basically get birthed anew. So it is the person, it is their soul, it is the creature, but they start from scratch. Versus this, which is bringing them back into their body, into their new form. So if you're looking for that, I'm pretty sure that's what rebirth does.
I don't know if there's a 5e version of that.
Or a reincarnate. There's not a 5e reincarnate?
I mean, you can search it. I did not see one. But I do love the idea of that. I do think it should be a 9th level spell if it is.
Druid necromancy says it's in the player's handbook.
Player's handbook.
Reincarnate. Cast time 1 hour. 5th level necromancy spell.
Oh, maybe I'm just spelling it wrong.
You touch a dead humanoid or a piece of one.
What level does it say it is?
5th level. So you touch a dead humanoid or a piece of one. If the creature has been dead no longer than 10 days, the spell forms a new body for it and calls the soul to enter that body. Roll a d10 and consult the table below to determine the body's species. The DM chooses another playable, or the DM chooses another playable species. The reincarnate makes any choice that the species description offers, and the creature recalls its former life. It retains the capabilities it had in its original form, except it loses the traits of its previous species and gains traits of its new one. So if you're asking like what goes in between this,
yeah,
and this is right in the middle, it's a 5th level spell. So I think this might be what you're looking for, Cart, because it's like you have the other two, which is come back as you were. Mm-hmm. This one is a comeback as who you were, not what you were.
Now it's interesting. Does this one talk about the soul being free and willing?
Nope. This one creates a body and says, "Let's go."
So,
because essentially, like, you're not bypassing the death cycle, you're reincarnating it. You're completing a new cycle. You're starting a new cycle. Again, this is the way I logically put it: it's necromancy, right? And it's also called necromancy, whereas the other ones I think they're all necromancy. So I would say that the lore reason is because with reincarnate, you are refreshing the cycle. So you're not disrupting the death. That creature is dead. All you're saying is now that life gets to renew. And therefore, it treats it as a, like what?
Theoretically, imagine you sold your soul to some, I don't know, some devil or whatever, and then you paid up. All right, here's my soul, great. And then I just reincarnate myself with a 5th level spell, and I found a loophole out. Hey, I gave you my soul, but now I've got it back. So sucks to suck.
There is a conversation to be had about that, because the reason why I say that is, I speak from the view and the lens of High Point at all times. So when I think of the fact that resurrection bypasses the death cycle, there's a conversation to be had there in High Point, because you're absolutely right. It resets the death cycle. It literally does. Because again, here's the cool part. When you're dealing with devils, most of them deal for your soul after your death. Most of the lower level, like trade demons that I have and the crossroad demons, most of them are dumb. Only the higher echelon ones learn those lessons.
They like end subsequent lives or some shit like that.
Or they'll tack on, like, depending on how big it is, they'll be like, hey, I want you in this in the next life. They'll just tack on the next one. Or if you get if you get a second chance, I get your soul after your second chance. Like, there are some that will know, like, hey, you're smart enough, I'm not going to let you get out of this by reincarnating yourself. But yes, that is a valid way, because if the deal was your death, but you get revivified,
crazy
again, and sometimes you can get out of it by just saying I died and they revivified me, but I died. Your contract's at death. Others stay like after, in the afterlife, which means while you're dead, right?
And then it's just as expensive as the resurrection, though. Too.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say maybe that's the answer card. I would say check out Reincarnate if that's not really the direction you're headed, because like, yeah, I really do think that all of these spells together hit all of the points that we're talking about, right? Like they're well spread out enough. What, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th? How much more spread out can you be?
Yeah.
And they all kind of touch and go, touch. I still think it's weird though that you can bring someone back and reform their body, or reform their body for the same magic cost.
I think I'll say regenerate does not have the same financial cost, so you can do it more repetitively on a daily basis.
Okay. So it's like,
hey, I lose a limb today, I'll regrow it tomorrow or whatever. So like there's a little bit there, but I do think it might even be worth bringing down a level, right, to like 6th level or something like that. Make regenerate a 6th level spell, and then keep resurrection as it is.
I could do that, or even a 5th level spell for regenerate. Honestly, let's face it, delimbing is very rare.
Yeah,
ever seen in combat, let alone in a role play.
I want to use called shots more. I want to do all this kind of stuff.
So if you put that as a 5th level spell, because let's face it, how often do you really ever even think about regenerate? Like, I just don't think it happens, right? I don't think that's really in the gameplay. Man, we're getting all these DM questions. Man, we have rapid fire questions tomorrow. Okay, another one from Hecate, a DM question. Man, these are all redemptions too. So these are people like, no, you got to answer our questions right now. DM question from Hecate. I have one about spells. Should there be a spell that's just death magic? Like you either save or die, or if it hits you, then you die. I would assume that a higher level, 9th or 10th. Well, there is Power Word Kill. That's basically exactly that. That is your...
as close to that as we have right now.
Because there is no save or die with that. That one is just you either have 100 points.
There's no save.
Or you're dead.
Yeah. It's state based. And maybe you're talking about something that's outside of your state. It's like true Avada Kedavra, like it just kills you regardless of your state.
There's a lot of spells that come very close. What's the one that shrivels you? No, there's that one that like takes all of your moisture and basically like almost insta kill you.
Yeah. What is that?
I forget what but that one's like so that one basically is a near insta kill. But okay, so the question though specifically was about, should there be spells with death magic? Lore wise, yes. In practice, I would say only for the most advanced DMs, because A, it has to really fit in the lore, and B, it has to be something that's very well regulated and very well guarded, because you can hint at it, you can show it off, and you can even have them play with it. but that is not it's one of those things where codifying something like that and letting it play out is as dangerous as having like necromancy.
That's what I'm talking about. I think that when it comes to stuff like that, should it exist? Absolutely. Should you codify it? Probably not. And the reason why is because, number one, I think it should be so difficult and so challenging to do. It's not just a spell you can put in your spell book that says, all right, death magic, boom. Yes. Like, there needs to be, like, again, magic, hopefully in your realm, has an order to it. And again, magic has a cost. And so doing something this final, this detrimental, this, again, if this is just meant to kill anybody, like whoever you are, no matter how powerful, you could be level freaking 20, and I'm just saying you die, right? Like, it's gotta be hard to pull off.
And again, think of it from High Point's point of view is, for me, this doesn't necessarily equate to I'm going to cast a spell that just removes all your HP. That Power Word Kill is an inversion of that, which is the closest legit spell to just a straight death spell, because that can kill anybody regardless of, again, it's not about max health, it's just your current health, whether that's your max or not. 100 HP or less, dead. Now, I also look at this as there are certain spells that I have in High Point that have nothing to do with your HP, but like if you're powerful enough and you know certain spells, I could just separate your soul from your body.
I'll do some Doctor Strange type shit.
And like if you're a deity to that level, like if you want to like really come to a deity, I can just, and kind of like Doctor Strange, but literally I could just be like, your soul's now independent and your body would just collapse. You are in all cases dead. Didn't do anything to your physical body. It is exactly as it was. You are now just not attached to it. So it is now just, it's in a coma. It's lifeless. And now you can't connect back to it. That's death, but that magic exists. So, you know, there's also magic like a psionics. You can hop into the mind of somebody and then you can press their mind out and take them over. That's death. You can quite literally...
You say out. Is it out or is it in a corner? Is it like really like...
You basically just take them over and you suppress them to the point to where they're dead. Mentally, you just...
Some get out type sunken place shit?
Yeah, but not to the point where you fight over it constantly like Xavier, you know, inside of it. It's literally you just take over, and at one point you literally physically, you know, your neurons take over their brain and they're gone. But that has nothing to do with HP. So yes, I like I said, I have it. Psionics allows it. I have it for deity magic, and there's other like blood magic does it. There's soul magic that I have. Like, oh yeah, I have ways where shit like that does work. But like I said, only for experienced DMs. Only if it's yeah. So it's like there's plenty of things that represent that. It's just without well regulated magic and a well regulated system. Like, I can have creatures that are that powerful that can just kill you in an instant, but without well-regulated story, well-regulated mechanics, it's hard to justify why aren't they just popping people then? Like, why would they ever bother with dialogue with anybody that's not on their level, right? So there has to be these ideas of like, well, it's the same reason why, you know, you don't get pulled over and, you know, like with a grenade. It's like, it's why you get pulled over with sirens and not just with a, you know, an instant grenade and just be like, okay, well, I don't have to talk to you. I've just pushed you off the freeway and now everyone can go about their day, right? It's like the idea behind there's got to be an understanding of why these people got so powerful, how they got so powerful. Same thing with like, I take a lot of that, you know, the reason why I put it into my lore is I take a lot of reference from things like martial arts. The more you know about martial arts, the far less likely you are to ever fight. And I mean like non-professionally, right? Like you talk to anyone who's really gone through martial arts, there becomes a time when it's like, there might be a time when you think, I want to fight everybody, but your time in martial arts will eventually get to a point to where your interest in actual, like any other than sanctioned, you know, referee fighting, you're like, nah, I'm good.
Your purpose in fighting becomes to become a better fighter, not to get in fights.
Exactly.
And I think that some people develop their love of fighting from getting into fights. But again, once you become more proficient, it stops being about that. It's the love of it. Everybody. Not for everybody, but like,
but most real, like hardcore professionals will tell you. The heart
of martial arts is way different.
It's control.
Exactly.
And I like to apply that to D&D. So when I think of like, when you're talking to this war this like, war hungry general, right? Who just wants to slaughter everything. And it's like, well, what's stopping him? Like, what do you mean that he's in charge of this army and they're just not? Why does he care? And it's like, because he has 5 advisors who understand the fallout of that and are like, look, we want to go to war, but like there's other things to consider. So we're going to have things in place where if you do this, we're either going to bankrupt you and you can't, feed your army, or we're going to do these things. So yeah, you might get away with taking 100 of your most loyal soldiers.
Sure.
But you're not going to take 10,000. You know what I mean? And so that's what's holding him back. Right. But it's also just that mindset of, we know what power we hold. And so we hold it, because if we unleash it, then no one has anything to fear, because they have to deal. You think about like why the Mongols like ran out. They just kept wanting more. They could have been fine owning, 2/3 of the planet.
Quench your greed.
But it wasn't enough. And then they got too thin. Right. And that's the same thing that I try to apply is the more powerful these things are. And again, I also apply the logic of TTRPGs of it's a logic that I came up with a long time ago when playing with my old DM of equivalent recognition is what I call it.
Okay.
And it's the idea that it's the same reason why I explain that, I hate in games when everything levels up equally to you. So the rats that we used to have 1 HP, when you're level 20, have 50 HP. And it's like, it's a fucking rat. That's not fair. Or not fair, but that doesn't make any sense, right? Because how is anybody living? If that rat has 50 HP and is now doing a D12 because you're at level 20, how is the whole town not dead from that one rat? Like, it doesn't make sense. So the equivalent, like the equivalency aspect of it is, as you level up, it's not that everything gets more powerful around you. It's the perspective of who you are. So you start out as some, punk vagabond, right? Store owners don't care about you. But you've come through town a lot, you've spent a lot of money, and you've helped a few people. So now you've gained their respect. AKA you've leveled up. You could probably beat them up now. Now they're less likely to give you trouble.
Sure.
Right? So they are still as weak as they always have been. You're just now stronger. They're still as strong as they have been, but you're no longer weak. So the relationship changes. But now what you've done? You've now caught the attention of someone who never would have fucking thought about you because you could have been taken out by a rat.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, you're on my radar now. But you know what that person doesn't want to do? The exact same thing you don't want to do. Get on the next person above them's radar.
Right.
And guess what you're going to do? You're going to go through that person, and then the next person's going to be like, oh, he was on my radar, and now you're on my radar. And what does this person not want to do? Get on that guy's radar. And so the mindset of, yes, I have evil people, I have these bloodthirsty people, but there's that mindset of, equivalent respect, equivalent recognition, where as you level up, you gain the attention of people that are your peers or higher. And it's not that you lose the attention of things that are lower, but their attention starts to be on the fact that now they are below you.
Right.
So you're not going to run into bandits in town when you're in full plate armor, a broadsword that's shiny as fuck, and a group of 6 people who are all decked out to the nines. Yes, those same bandits that attacked you when you were in rags and you had a stick are not going to attack the same bandits a year later when you were at level 10. But you know who is? The guards are now going to fuck with you, because at first you were just some punks that they could just kick around. Now you come in fully decked and now you're getting hassled by the guards. Well, it's because you have weapons and you can do damage now. So now you no longer have the attention of the bandits, but you have the attention of the guards. That's how High Point works. Is the equivalent recognition principle is that the world doesn't level up around you. The attention you get does.
Right.
So by the time you're level 20, level 1s fear you. Level 5s cower. Level 10s want to challenge you someday. But it's the level 15s and 20s that are all about you. Because that's your echelon now. And they don't want to, and then again, now you're in the echelon of, well, they don't want to get the attention of the gods, but they want your attention. They want to deal with you. But why didn't they want to deal with you when you were level 5? Do you want to deal with level 5 right now? How embarrassing would it be for you at level 20 to be like, oh, I care about what a level 5 is going to do to me? Like think about that. Go back to your hometown at level 20 and go beat up on the bandits who robbed 5 gold from you at the first session, and just see how good it feels to take one swing and he's dead. Just go up to that bandit and be like, you stole 1 gold on my very first session. I take a swing at him. He's dead. Well, I didn't switch. He's dead.
Non-lethal damage.
He's dead. He is dead. Do you feel better now? He is dead. He's bleeding in the street, and everyone's looking at you like you are a monster. Because that's the idea. Is like, why would you? But again, why would that bandit be level 20? Unless he was a rival, unless there's a story. Sure. But this is my thing of games don't need to excel one-to-one with you. That like not everything needs to be on your level. But if you recognize that as you level up, different things pay attention to you and other things stop paying attention to you. That's, in my opinion, how you should process the leveling experience for players.
Sure.
Because no one wants to fight wolves 9 times throughout the series, and every time they just have more health and more attack. That's boring. That's why I like to do things like one wolf, a pack of wolves, a dire wolf, a pack of dire wolves. Well, now you're going to go into a dragon or a mini dragon or a wyvern because, right. Again, wolves don't think about you anymore. You guys are walking around making a lot of noise, having torches. Like, the wolves, you are no longer prey to wolves. Why am I just going to send stronger wolves at you when you were doing things that wolves wouldn't be interested in?
Sure.
But you know what would be? Oh, there's a now giant group of 6 people and they're all big and buff. That's a lot of meat. A wyvern's very hungry right now. And you know what I mean? Like, they don't want a tiny 1-person peasant. They want the giant party with a again, that's my logic. That's the way that I've always assumed the world should react to you, is things should stay relative. The bandits should stay level 1 at all times unless they have a reason to level up, right? Bandits are not leveling up a lot. But the world needs to recognize you for what you are, and different people need to respond to that.
And I'll say because there's something to be said for you influencing the world. So if like, hey, I ran into this group of bandits and in our first encounter, one of them went free. Now that one that went free, that one has the ability to level up and then come back and find the party later and like do some stuff. But like the bandits that exist in the area around that town, if I'm walking in the same place, I'm not gonna run into a brand new group of bandits that all of a sudden way stronger. No, like those type bandits have no reason to hang out here if they weren't already hanging out here.
Yeah, and why are they that much stronger? Like, who are they gonna rob?
Yeah, exactly.
They were waiting for just me.
Like again, like if your power level is X, then the type of prey you can get is also X, right? Yeah. And so if you're out here doing this like meat and potatoes shit, like no, you're gonna be trying to steal from.
Why are the level 10 bandits in a town full of level 1s when all you're doing is passing by? Like, who are they? What are they getting out of these guys? Copper? Yeah. Like, no, I totally feel that, and that's kind of just where I'm just like, I love the ideas, but again, it really has to come down to how do you run it? Like, how do you run your lore, and how do you think the progression should be?
Sure. But I definitely agree. I think this reincarnation thing, it's weird. I don't exactly know how I feel about it, but
I like it. I mean, again, for 5th edition and how they're doing it, I think it's great.
It's very interesting.
I do like the separation. I mean, Cart kind of forgot about True Resurrection, so there was that other extra separation.
Fair enough.
Though another mention here, why not old age? My logic behind why it won't deal with old age specifically is to prevent immortality. Because if you live till 90 and then I resurrect you, well, how does the clock, like, if you're old age, right? If you live to 90 and died of old age and then I resurrect you, does your time restart? Do you get another 90 years? Do you only get 1 year? Because once you've reached old age, here's
the deal, and I agree with you, but here's my explanation and understanding for that. When you are, again, so I think true resurrection should be able to
defy age,
but I think when you do that, especially because with true resurrection you don't need a body, right? If it recreates your body at that point in time, you get to choose what age that body is. And then you relive that life, because here's the deal.
I don't like that.
And here's what I'll say.
Because that is the exact immortality loop that you run into. Because if that's the case, then you take a 90-year-old, put him in a 20-year-old's body, and then when he turns 90, you put him in a 20-year-old's body. He's now immortal.
Yes.
And that's the loop. I think the whole point is like, once the life has run its course, you can, like, these spells are meant to prolong a life cut short, not to indefinitely prolong a life.
And so
that's where I think resurrection comes in, because that's the caveat is you get put in a different body, but you still are you.
Here's the deal. And I agree with you, but I think that, and here's my process. I think it should be real. I think it should be taboo. I think it should be bad. I think God should want to stop that from happening, but I don't think it should be impossible to do. I think should be something that, people try to protect against. But I also think that there should be limitations and there should be cost to it, just like we were talking about earlier. So it's like
you only do it so many times.
Yeah, exactly. So you can do it over and over again, but you're still going to lose. So I think true resurrection is the only one that, if done appropriately, shouldn't reduce the reviver's hit point.
Actually, you know what would be kind of cool is if you want to have it have a cost. What if it's when you do true resurrection, if the person died of old age, you must, at bare minimum, at a cost of a bare minimum 1, you must sacrifice a level for every year you wish to extend their life.
I love that.
Because then you still get it back. You can get your levels back. So you resurrect them. We talked about however that works, whether you do the HP or not.
Sure.
But let's say they died of old age. Like this particular one died of old age. That means you have to give up at least 1 level. Whatever level you are, you go down 1 level. Now they get 1 year. But if you want them to live longer than that 1 year, you have to give up however many levels, up to 20, to extend their life beyond what they're capable. Because again, in my opinion, the reason why I agree that these levels shouldn't is because these are mortal made spells, and death is a divine topic.
Sure.
So to me, that's why I agree with that's why my interpretation is to prevent immortality.
Reincarnation is a mortal made spell?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's why it has its bypasses, because it's mortal's understanding. The soul doesn't have to change, but the cycle does. And that's where, and again, it gets fishy. There's lore that you can explore there. But the idea that death is a mortal matter, and while you can recreate the body, old age is not just the body's decay, but it is also the soul body connection, right?
Yes.
So like I said, that's why a brand new body's fine, and that's why I understand true resurrection does recreate the body, but it recreates it as it was at the last known point, which means it would be at its final decay. Now, here's 2 caveats, right? Is A, I still think that there should be a workaround. I just don't think it should defy the bounds of the divine.
Sure.
But I say, give me a level, I'll let you have another year of life. I think that's fucking wonderful, because again, you get potentially 20 extra years.
And you got, first of all, you got to find somebody who's willing to give that shit up.
And in D&D terms, that's a lifetime.
Over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, and
if you really want to be immortal.
And if also, that's technically a lifetime. Like if you think about it, because if you're 90 and you get 20 extra years, but you have 20 levels of experience and you keep all of your abilities, but you get 20 more years, that's an entire lifetime starting at peak.
You know what I'm actually really curious about? Imagine somebody tried to put this in contingency and spend their own experience. Because again, traditionally, you're not spending your experience doing this.
True.
You're spending the caster's experience doing this. So
pre-cast it and then regain your levels, and then when you die, let the thing bring you back, but it's like the pre-generated levels.
Yeah.
No, you could do it with the simulacrum. Well, I guess that you get to a simulacrum that's level 20. Then when you die, it just casts the spell, goes into level 1, and remember, it can't gain levels, so you just kill it, make a new simulacrum once you get back up to level 20. And then when you die, so that's your workaround. And see, that's fine. Like, there's ways I'm okay with it. It's I don't think it should by default do it. So I'm okay with something. Extra cost is always okay.
That's my biggest thing. Is like, I would definitely include an extra cost, but I still think it should be.
But it can't be in designed by permanency. Like it can't be a part of its design that's permanent. You have to.
Absolutely.
But that would be. There is a great. No, I also said I had a second part to that. Because again, sometimes we like to talk about how we let reality in the real world influence.
Sure, absolutely.
What's going on? I also love how it's an hour and a half in and we haven't even started on Goku. I don't think we're going to be doing Goku tonight, by the way, everybody. I might change the topic because I don't think we're getting to Goku tonight. I think this might just be a D&D discussions night. I mean,
I think we have more questions in the queue still.
We still have more.
More questions that we haven't gotten to yet.
We're just going to call this questions from chat today because we're definitely not getting to that. So
Maybe we can do
the second part though is like we talked about bringing. Oh, we should do it tomorrow. We bring in reality, right? And so I like to keep my realm updated with just things that we learn in the real world, because physics and all of that. So there's a been a thing for a long time now, and it just every year it gets reassessed, and it gets more and more. I don't want to say obvious. It gets more and more codified every year. They reassess this claim, and every year it gets more and more codified. And I think it's been going on for like maybe 15, 20 years now that they've like had this on the books. As of today, there is no such thing as dying of old age. The cause of death to this day is not, there is no old death. Because we used to just say, oh, you died of old age. But now the more and more we have tests for, but the funny part is like, no, it's not just, we always think old age is in the body, just one day goes, I'm done.
Sure.
But it's
the body
never
as a whole never does that.
It's always a lead up. There's always symptoms, and it's always a very specific thing we know and can either treat or prevent. But
absolutely,
it's always something. Now, granted, it's because of decay.
Sure,
but it's never just a. The soul just done. So one could talk about these spells of, as long as they didn't die of old age. Well, no one fucking dies of old age, duh. So if you want to get True Resurrection,
you'd be like,
True Resurrection removes all curses, all diseases. So technically, whatever killed you is gone. Now that doesn't mean that you can't immediately die 2 seconds later from something else.
Sure.
But like, let's say you died of old age because you died of a stroke. When you get True Resurrection, whatever caused the stroke is gone. The blood clot's gone. But that doesn't mean you still don't have, an aneurysm.
You just keep doing it over and over and over again until all the individual things are fixed.
You literally could. So if you wanted to get pedantic, technically these spells will always work.
That's crazy.
Because there is no such thing as dying of old age.
Yeah.
But I think the mentality is A, when this game was created, and B, when like they had this mentality of death, old age just meaning of no obvious cause. You were just old, and like, because again, you could say, well, this guy died of pneumonia, so he didn't die of old age. But it's like, again, how pedantic do you want to be on the fact of he was an old guy, he went to sleep, he couldn't breathe, and he suffocated and died. Now, was that the pneumonia? Yes. But could you reasonably say that all of these things happened only because his body couldn't repair itself because he's old?
Sure.
And that's what I mean, right? So
exactly.
And again, always coming full circle with how I think about High Point. This is why I always talk about Rye versus Raw. Raw, you could make this argument that there's no such thing as a
dying of old age,
blah, blah, blah. But Rye, meaning like the rules as intended, means this person died of a cut, a fall, an explosion. They died by the cause of something that ended their life prematurely. Not this mindset that they've lived a full life, everything's done, and in their sleep, they just gave up life.
Sure.
And that's the rules as intended. That's not what it says. So I love that conversation, but that's where High Point stands. Is I think it's meant to prevent immortality. But I do think that there's room for exploit, and there should be room for exploit.
Yeah, I kind of agree. But
it is an interesting concept of what is old age. Like, what does dying of old age technically mean?
Yeah, I would say, like, and again, you're right, because it's never one thing and it's never all at once. But I do think that it is when the body is no longer able to repair itself to the point where it's able to continue to function. Like now again, if you get stabbed in the heart, I think your body is capable, it just doesn't have the time to do it, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's where the difference is. If you bleed out too soon, if your body doesn't have the opportunity to repair itself because your wounds are so severe that you cannot cling to life long enough to make that happen, I think that is what unnatural causes would be considered. But if your body is deteriorating to the point where it could have all the time in the world to repair itself and it's just too deteriorated to do so, then that would be, for me, what would qualify as dying of old age in a codified-ish sense.
Yeah. Cart brought up an interesting point of like, if this is the kind of the case where there's like multiple ways to like resurrect and bring your soul back, regardless of the situation, and like, you know, like with reincarnate, you know, it doesn't require a willing soul. He says that kind of defeats the purpose of like Lich logic of just a bunch of people being murdered for their souls and their power, because, well, doesn't that kind of go about it? But it's like, but who has 1,000 GP diamond on the ready to resurrect? Like, and who are you going to find? Like, you have to find the person. You have to, like, yes, there is a loophole where you could technically put in the story Lich got less powerful, and that's why he's now on a rampage, because someone got resurrected that was in his phylactery, and now he's on the rampage to get one back. Like, there's some cool story there, but this isn't rampant enough. Magic isn't well known enough to be a concern for a Lich. Like, if I kill 100 people for my phylactery, the likelihood that even one of them will ever get resurrected or revived is so negligible that who do I care if out of every 1,000 only one of them gets resurrected? It won't ruin the plan. So I don't think that the logic that these things exist undoes lichdom. Like, the whole point is a Lich is just, they're not going to assume that a random peasant's going to be able to be resurrected or revived. And if it happens again, I just don't think that one time in their entire 1,000-year lifespan that they're doing this, it's going to matter that much.
I'm very curious if, again, that's theoretically possible.
It would depend on your logic and your world's vision of how the phylactery works. Is the phylactery a cage? Does it trap the soul? Does it convert the soul in a way that it is no longer usable? There's all these methods that you have to understand of how, again, this is why I say these are comments that are great and should be discussed, but shouldn't be tackled by DMs who don't have a robust system yet. Because these are topics that if you are a very rules as written person, none of these topics are going to be helpful, because you're not going to get any benefit from the books, right? They don't cover this kind of stuff. And if you don't have a robust enough system, these are very complicated topics to make sense of. And that's why, you know, when I talk about High Point, it's like, it's all about layering, because I trust that my layering and the way that I apply my rules guarantees the consistency. But that's where, when you have things dealing with death and souls and the cycles of life, it's very difficult to keep that consistency when there are so many exceptions. So I agree. This is not, I don't think it would undo anybody's like normal ways of thinking about how magic and souls work, because again, it would be so rare that it wouldn't be disruptive.
Sure.
All right, Soul's finally back. Well, Soul, you've missed a lot. Well, I guess that was like, oh wow, that was a half hour ago Soul came back. Jeez, I've been talking for a while. I am so far behind on chat. That was a half hour ago. But oh, Soul left. That was a half hour ago that Soul left. Jesus. Well, hopefully Soul's okay. They said that they were having like a panic attack, so hopefully they will be all right.
No.
Okay, we have another DM question from Hecate. Last question for the night for Hecate. Well, we'll see about that. I'm not through chat yet. If you could add a new ability to the ability scores for 5e, what would you add? For Hecate, they added the new ability score called Soul like 2 years ago, and it works so well with things that don't work with other abilities. I'm gonna say stamina. Just that is 100%. That was the first stat I tried to build myself. Is a stamina stat.
See, I've heard people say that they should replace HP with stamina. Just like use it that way.
I hate that.
Instead.
I so hate that. Because stamina doesn't equate the same to, you know what I mean? Like
see, I feel like stamina is something that fluctuates like throughout your day.
It does, but it's also different things take different types of stamina, and so lumping it into the same pool, I think, is just more detrimental. I think, again, like the idea of like, yes, I have so much energy I can expel, but I can expel different amounts of energies in different ways, right?
Sure.
Like if you've ever lifted weights, right? Like the amount of energy to deadlift is different than the amount of energy to bench press.
Sure.
Regardless of the weight, right? Even if they were the same weight, but they are different energy packets. So to say that, and then also if I do bench press and then lat pull, those are the same arms, right? So to say that doing 2 exercises on the same muscle is the same as doing 2 exercises on different muscles. Yes, it's all the same pool of my overall energy, but maybe I'm more powerful with my arms, so I can put a lot more effort into the stamina I have in my arms, right? So it's just like saying like if you sprint and everybody's sprint costs them 10 stamina, and then everybody's, you know, attack or, you know, something with their arms costs 10 stamina. But it's like, but that's not true, right? Your stamina in your legs might be different. So for me, it's just
absolutely
generalizing stamina and then equating that to when you get hit, you also lose stamina. And again, I know we've talked about HP means a whole lot more. And I do think HP needs a rework. I really do think that we need to think about it differently. I know it would be super pedantic and I know most people would fucking hate it, but a cool concept I think would be damage spreads. So hits do a certain amount of damage. Misses do a certain amount of damage on a spread. Meaning again, like just being in a fight, it's more of if I actually hit you, I do damage.
Sure.
Like I hit you, you hurt. But if I miss you, but if I'm close, you had a dodge, but that dodge took a little bit of your stamina. It took some fatigue off you. And the more, even though I'm not hitting you, the more you dodge, the longer you're not going to be able to do that in the fight. And eventually I'm going to wear you down, right? I mean, we've seen this in boxing, right? Just wear the person down. So I feel like there could be a very difficult and complicated thing, but I could feel like there's this way where HP being represented as everything means that depending on how close you hit them, right? So if you hit their AC or above, you do a good amount of damage. Anything within a small margin does very little, and then beyond that does nothing. And then of course crit does a lot, right? And then furthermore, you could split that between just general. I really do think that if you wanted to do like what you were talking about, how they were saying you should turn HP into stamina, just have 2 bars. Have stamina and HP. And then split it between action and health. Make HP health, your physical health. If you take damage, if you're bleeding, that is bleeding your health.
Sure.
But running takes your stamina. Swinging takes your stamina. And if one of those are depleted, you can't either do actions or you're dead.
Sure.
But you can have one depleted and not the other. But like, so again, if you're in a fight, maybe every 3 rounds, everybody loses 2 stamina, but you only lose health when you get hit.
Sure.
Or maybe every time you get swung on, you lose 1 stamina, but you only lose health if you get hit. Maybe you lose 2 stamina if you get hit. You know, these are the things I think of that could make. I
actually have a very interesting balance in my mind, and I really like what you're talking about. And you know,
that would be the way to do it. If you want to make it a bar, make them 2 bars.
There's a way to set it up so where it's like, hey, yeah, you'll get stamina back slowly over time. You know, like maybe not in this battle, or like maybe it'll like knock you out for a battle and be like, yeah, you're not getting back up, but you're not dead. You know, it's almost the idea of how you represent non-lethal damage.
Yes.
It's like, yes, you've exhausted their stamina, but you have not depleted their health. You know what I'm saying?
The fights could be over because you can just like, I hold my sword up and be like, just give up, dude.
You're not going anywhere. I'm gonna just keep punching your stamina down to 0 every second you regain any bit of it.
It's like those things in movies, right, where it's like the person tries to pick up their sword and the sword's already at their neck. It's like, just get, like you're not dead. And you obviously have the sword in your hand, but it's like, just go ahead, just do it, and I'll kill you. And it's like, okay. And then they let go of the sword, right? That could also lead into way more surrenders, and endings to battles than just everyone has to die. So I think two bars might be the way to do it for most people. Again, I just think it'd be complicated for a lot of people to learn.
I agree. I'm trying to think of a system where I'm the only person who has to care about it as the DM, just because it'll make more sense for me.
Yeah, I feel like it just should be tied to action economy. Every action takes a point of stamina, and then damage is actual damage. Because in that way, it's like, so actions take 2 stamina, bonus actions take 1, reactions take 1, something like that. And then again, anytime you get attacked, it's 1. If you get hit, it's 2 stamina. So stamina goes down evenly often, but very small amounts, right? So it takes a while to wear you down.
Sure.
But your health, when things hurt you, that thing just gets chunked. Because that's the thing that you don't want, right? And that could make combat make more sense, right? Where every action you do is depleting your stamina. So you want combat to end in 3 rounds because you're just burning stamina with every little thing you do. You know, you could burn a stamina for every 5 feet of movement or every 10 feet of movement. So your 30 feet is going to burn 3 stamina just to move 30 feet. Then you want to dash? There's 9 stamina. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could really play.
See, I really like
monk.
This.
You could fix the monk with this. So this guy that wants to go 120 yards, like, that's fine. You have no stamina at the end because you just literally sprinted your at.
So I really like this because I think that there's something to be said for every round you get a certain set amount of stamina back. But so say if you want to do everything in your turn, it's going to cost you 5 stamina, right? So if I want to move, attack, bonus action, reaction, whatever, that's going to cost me 5, right? But every round you get 3 stamina back, right?
Interesting.
So if you want to like balance out and basically say, I want to like maintain my stamina, I don't want to deplete myself, I want to hold myself down, I can only use enough stamina for that certain amount that I want. I make sure I get it back. I keep my composure. Like, I feel like that can be represented so well,
dude. I'm not a fan of getting it back per round just because I think it's like, a whole day thing. Like that's where the rest comes in, or at least like longer chunks. But you do bring up the good point though. Something like a monk being able to spend key points to replenish their stamina.
Yeah.
Like there is a point of replenishing stamina in different ways, right? Whenever you get healed, you could get stamina back. Like you get like a little like pump up.
Sure.
There's something to this. Like there is definitely a conversation to be had here about a new stamina bar. But going back to Hecate's question, stamina as an ability, like and as an actual like ability stat, is one that I always wanted, because in situations where you're using strength or dexterity for long periods of time, it's fine that you're making all these checks, but like, how are you maintaining yourself, right? Like you make a strength check to like, lift something out of the way, like a gate so people can crawl under, but you need to hold it for 3 rounds. Every round, it shouldn't just be a strength check, but it's like, how are you able to maintain that same stamina, right? Let's say you're sprinting after someone. I'm okay with you running at regular pace because running's like a jog. When you want to sprint, it takes effort. But if you want to maintain, like you have to actually roll in second edition to sprint to a dex roll. But for me, it's not enough to just say, now you're sprinting. Now it goes from a dex roll to now you have to maintain that sprint. And if you fail that stamina, it's going to start getting to you. So it's like, for me, it was very difficult. I never finished it, but that was the ability I always wanted.
For me, especially because it's used so little, especially in 5th edition, I would say something like Constitution is what I would use for that, because if there's any like checks or anything that you need to make, like I feel like that should be a Constitution check.
That's what I defaulted to, because so, Constitution's your hardiness, what you can put yourself through.
Yeah. When it comes to a stat that I think could be included, it's really hard for me, because you have wisdom and intelligence. I feel like those have their role. You have charisma, and that can include a lot of things.
I mean, there used to be comeliness stat, which was your physical appearance, your comeliness stat. So your physical appearance, that was a thing for a while.
Oh, interesting.
So that one was a kind of a popular one. That's why stamina was the only thing I felt like really was missing, because it's not just the ability of strength and dex, it's the ability to maintain and continue whatever your strength and dex allowed, right? That's what I felt was missing. It wasn't just the ability to do said strength or do said acrobatic, but how long could you maintain being in that state? And that's what I wanted stamina for. But again, Constitution just turned out to be the way to go.
Sure. Yeah, it's weird, because everything I think of as far as like a new stat would probably be something more akin to something that would like create modifiers for you. I was thinking about something like articulation, right? Like how well certain people understand how to communicate, right? And I feel like, it could be like a bonus to your charisma checks, right? Yeah. You could have an adjustable bonus to your charisma check, or how well you know how to interact with different types of people. So like, hey, you get a bonus to all your charisma checks interacting with these people because your articulation is XYZ when it comes to this dynamic, or something like that. Like,
no, that's beautiful, because there is an old stat called reaction, where it was actually a modifier off of your charisma on how people actually reacted to you. So it was actually a modifier for NPCs.
Interesting.
On whether they would like or dislike you, straight based off of that modifier. So you'd have to you could have a negative in that modifier, so people would just treat you badly. You'd actually have tables for how much more you'd get charged at merchants.
Wow.
It was, so there was stats for people reacting, but now you've given me a really brand new idea. What about a mental stat? Something like ego, where when things happen, it's more of, how is this going to affect you? Can you get over this? Like, you see a friend in combat go down. roll ego. Does this put you into, like, does this lead you to depression, or are you able to use this to empower yourself and keep going? Like the idea of a stat roll or an ability roll that basically says, is this thing going to affect you mentally to where can you even pay attention? Like almost like PTSD aspect, right?
Yeah.
So if you see something so bad that you have to make an ego roll with -5, meaning this may destroy you mentally to the point to where you can't continue fighting, or you can't continue doing your action, or you have negatives because you're now, like, again, you see your parents die. Roll me that stat, and you now have -2 on your rolls because your mind is not here in the fight. That could be really interesting. Oh, and again, it would be rare. It wouldn't be all the time. But in response to certain things happening, I think that could be a cool roll to make temporary bonuses. Because imagine that, being able to, like, give bonuses during, like, you know, raging, like, because it gives you an extra bonus sometimes. So it's like you're raging, but then you bump your ego up to, like, you feel unstoppable. So there could be a mental stat there where it's like, how does something affect you?
I agree. Weirdly enough, again, it's something that I would probably use as a modifier. Like, imagine like something happens and it just modifies my like wisdom saving throw that I have to make. And if so, like, it gives me like a condition. And I think there's an argument for a new condition there that, like, okay, so if, you know, like, condition may be called traumatized or something like that, and like for the next X amount of hours or something like that, you have this,
you're preoccupied, you can't concentrate on spells,
there you go,
you have a negative to attack,
something like that. Like
can you write that, whatever you did? What did you title that?
Traumatized.
We should put that, if we do builds tomorrow, we should make that condition, because we were talking about potentially, like, making some stuff. The traumatized condition, that sounds so fucking cool. You know what? Now that makes me want. So if we have the traumatized condition, I now also want, like, the enraged condition, or like the heightened. You know, like one of those moments where you see something happening and it's just that moment of, oh, we're getting, like, that's it. This is the moment we're done. It's like, you know, just, it's that hero moment of, no, not another person dies, or you see the leader die and you're like, we've won. Like, it's that, like, it's a condition where you're almost elated to where maybe you get a second win, maybe you get like one extra attack the next round, or you get to take an action, and you can like you know, when you have this condition at any point, you can take an action or spend a bonus action to, like, regain an health die. Just kind of like akin to a second wind, but cheaper. But like a condition where it just gives you that boost of, like, you're just feeling it. You're in the zone. Like, you want to take a hit die? Bonus action. Let's go.
That should
give yourself
in the zone. I think that
in the zone.
That would be an amazing condition. It's like one of those things where it's like you can't roll below this for the next however much.
Oh yeah.
Like, you get like success roll after success roll after success roll, like 3 success rolls in a row. You become in the zone and you can't roll below this.
Oh man, like, and while you're in the zone, every successful roll adds a +1 to your next roll.
Okay, and so it only breaks if you get like a nat 1 or something like that.
Or no, just once you fail, you just go back to 0. So it's just, it doesn't go back by 1, but it's like, it's one of those, once you're on a roll, and then once you fail, you're out of the zone. So that's what it is. So it could get infinitely powerful, but the moment it trips, it's gone. Because that would be so dope. So it's like, you know, I go to roll to hit, I succeed. The next roll, I get a +1. Oh, now it's a saving throw. Well, I get a +1. Oh, I saved. Now I get a +2. I attack him. I get a +2 on my hit. I succeeded. Now I get a +3. Oh, saving throw. Now I get a +4. Oh, saving throw, +5. Attack. I miss. Oh, okay. I'm out of the heightened condition. But you got all those bonuses that whole time. Dude, in the zone could be such a cool condition, because that stack ability could be so choice, but all you have to do is just miss one thing. It could be a saving throw, a concentrate. It could be the dumbest.
I think the reason why I'm saying a natural 1, because you built it up so much so that it doesn't matter if you roll a 2, you'll still hit, right? Because if you get
I think that's where the piece of, like, you can't roll, say, below a 5 could be a factor. And then every successful roll gives you a +1. So that means that if you get to a point where your only way to fail is to roll a 6, you have that very small margin where, as long as you don't roll a 6, you can't roll below a 5.
Sure.
So like 5 and 6 are your only fail numbers. So you could really shrink it, but I still think you'd have to, like you said, you have to have that one chance of failure.
There's got to be an element where it's like, hey, if you roll X, like, this is still going to break. Something's going to break your concentration. And again, a lot of times you can explain these failures as, like, environmental rather than, you know, personal. But
here we go. So one of the features is, after however it triggers, right? When you're in the zone, the only things that will end in the zone are like maybe taking so much damage, kind of like maybe not any damage, but like maybe taking a certain amount of damage, failing a single roll, or yeah, how about this? Yeah, just taking a certain amount of damage or failing a roll, or going unconscious, whatever, blah blah blah.
Sure.
But what we then say is one of the modifiers is for every successful roll, add 1 to your next roll, and that stacks, right?
Sure.
So every successful roll just keeps on adding a new addition, right? But then you also would add, you re-roll 2 3s and 4s.
Okay.
So then that way you still have a margin of error.
I would say instead of re-rolls, it's you treat rolls of a 2, 3, or 5 as a roll of a 5 or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Just because the re-roll will give you another opportunity to potentially roll a 20.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there would have to be some verbiage there, but I do like this idea of like this infinite, just like you can just get a plus 20 on your next roll, but all you gotta do is like, I mean, I guess you could say that, well, eventually I'm not going to miss. So there has to be a guaranteed, you still have to have a guarantee.
A nat 1, you're
always going to miss a nat 1.
You're always going to miss a nat 1, but outside of that, get the flow going, man.
Yeah.
Get the flow going.
Or even you can just cap it at a +5. You can get for every success, you can get a +1 up to a +5.
And I would also say that, again, you're only getting these pluses to your attacks, but any failure, including like a failure of like a saving throw or something like that, could also break your zone.
I got it. I got a way to even make it better so it doesn't feel as broken. The stacks are per round. So the stacks reset every round. So every successful roll in this round gives you a +1 to all of your rolls until the end of the round. So if you get attacked by a spell and you do a save, you get a +1 now. And then in the next initiative, you have to make another save and you get a +1. Then it's your turn. So now you get a +2 on your turn. But then you attack and then you get a +3.
I'll say the only thing is, if that's the case, then this really only works well for heavy martial classes like
that have multiple abilities and multiple things.
So
that would trigger.
I'm a rogue and I'm like a sniper rogue or something like that, I get 1 shot. I get my sneak attack shot, but like if I can stack that sneak attack shot, you're right and stuff, like I would love to be able to like get like crazy.
So maybe you can just get and honestly, because this could happen at any point, maybe it's you can so you get a +1 to all rolls for every successful roll, maximum to a maximum equal to your proficiency modifier. So it follows you.
Oh, interesting.
So at any point you can get this to a level 1 and it still works.
Sure.
But the max you're going to get is a +6.
Interesting. I do think I like that idea.
And it's a stacked +6. So again, as long as you never miss, because then think about that. You still, even most of your DCs, you still get a good margin of error. Because even with a +6, you're probably going to drop it down to like, if it's a DC 12, you have to roll a 5 to a 1.
Sure.
That's still a good margin of error. And if we say you treat 2 3s and 4s like 5s, if the DC and your +6 doesn't drop it below a 5, then you have a 5 to a 1. That's your failure. But if it's a DC 10, well, guess what? If 2 3s and 4s are all considered 5s, you have to roll a 1 to fail. So the easier the DC, the harder it will be to fail. But if it's an 18, well, you still got to roll 12.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it. Maybe it's you can get those stacks up to your proficiency, and then it's just luck. It's literally how long can you keep succeeding your rolls? Because the moment you don't succeed a roll, you're out of the zone.
Yeah. And that's why I think, again, to kind of make it feel less overpowered, saying any roll, any failed roll will kind of snap you out of the zone.
Yeah, that's the idea. Is any success bumps it up, any failure, you're out.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that all for one, right? Like you can have this as long as you want, but it's over like that. Just over. I do think that it shouldn't be a come down. This really should just hit like a brick, right?
I will say though, I think that this shouldn't necessarily be just anybody can do this. Like it's like maybe you take a feat. You take a feat.
Ooh,
and
okay.
You can call it whatever you want, but like it and gives you access to the in the zone loop.
Interesting. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you know,
I mean, I wouldn't mind it because I mean, in the zone, anybody could get in the zone, but I do think that you'd have to really be careful with how you codify it to make sure that it's challenging enough for everyone to get in, but also not impossible to where only some people are going to get into it, right? Sure. Like honestly, you could do something where anytime you crit, you can choose to get in the zone instead of do the additional damage.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
So then you can stack your stacks after that, or just do your damage if you don't think it's going to be worth it, right?
Sure.
So things like that, you can have multiple triggers for in the zone. Like you crit, but you choose not to, do extra damage. Or
I think that crit one could be available to everybody.
That's what I mean. Is like we can have one where it's like, you maybe be able to train yourself to get in the zone. Like maybe like all monks can always get into the zone. Based off of like 3 successful rolls or 3 something, but
sure.
Anybody who crits can choose to get in the zone, or you could have it like a reroll. Like if you ever crit roll a 6 on a roll of a 5 or a 6, you're in the zone. So again, only during a crit, but then it only triggers if you roll like a 5 or a 6 after you've crit.
Yeah.
I like it because it's still on par with not everyone's gonna always get into it, but everyone has a chance.
Yeah. I like this. I like this a lot.
And then you could just make specialties about it, like monks get in the zone anytime they crit. That could just be a feature of that condition. It's monks and druids always get in the zone whenever they crit. For whatever reason.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like they would have like a thing that just, or you can even say monks and fighters because they're the martial class, right? So you can just say as part of this feature, martial classes automatically get in the zone after a crit. If you, as an optional DM rule.
I like that.
Because again, monks and fighters, when they crit, it's like, I got this now. Whereas everybody else, it's like, I got it, but like, did that put me there?
Sure.
Where, because like, you get a hole in one, you're like, oh, that's great. But like a pro's like,
yeah.
Like, I get that.
And I would even question if somebody like a paladin, because paladin's theoretically a martial class, but also they get the majority of their, we'll say, confidence from their deity or their oath or whatever. So it would be like, weirdly enough, I feel like they would be less likely to get in the zone because
they're it's about more about they're more about their faith and their purpose, not their focus.
Yes.
You mentioned rogues earlier. I think rangers should also get the opportunity.
Interesting.
Because again,
I can see that.
They won't get very many opportunities, but man, the sniper ranger that had a +5.
Yeah.
They want it.
I could be down for that. I
could even see an argument, but this would have to be like, I could see the benefit, but not necessarily the argument for how easy it would be for like a wizard to get in the zone. Because they don't really have like a zone to be in, right? They're focused too much on the verbal, the schematical.
Yeah.
But there could be a zone a wizard could get into, which would be fucking devastating.
I feel like a sorcerer, when it comes to spellcasters, a sorcerer is way more likely to get in the zone than a wizard is.
And I was thinking that for druids, because they're nature, right? They're just going to just naturally get into this flow state where they just feel it, they vibe it.
Yeah.
Like that's why for the martial classes, I think monk fighter, I think for the spell casting, maybe sorcerers, maybe druids.
Yeah.
And then everybody else.
I feel like druids are lightweight, always in the zone. Like they're lightweight, like hippie vibes. Just
always flow
here, man. Like the Hulk, they're always angry.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I like this, dude. In the zone conditions, kind of dope.
That's cool.
That's kind of, and then I like the traumatized condition too. Like just having some detriments because you just went through something that you can't handle.
Yeah. Or like you said, it buffs you because you're a barbarian and it like fuels your anger, but also in the long run it has some negative effects.
Oh man, can you imagine? Okay, so we talked about the other classes. Let's talk about barbarian real quick with these two. What if, because these kind of go hand in hand, like you kind of grab these as a package, which actually would be right, like you grab these together, so they're both sides of the coin. But what if this was the only time is where it worked opposite for barbarians? When barbarians are in the zone, they can't rage. They're in the zone. You can't go crazy. You can't lose it when you're in the zone.
I would say the other way around.
But again, when they're traumatized, it boosts their rage. That's when they can just.
Sure.
So it's almost as if they get a detriment to being in the zone, but it's a detriment outside of their rage.
I'll say I would word it the other way. I'd word it like they word spellcasting. I'd say like while you're raging, you cannot get in the zone, rather than if you're in the zone, you can't rage.
I would say both. I think both.
I would say
or raging takes you out of the zone. There you go. Yes. Yeah, you cannot rage while in the zone, and if you were in the zone, raging takes you out.
That like throws you into a rage.
Well, and not all rage is this idea of you losing control. Sometimes rage is a
true.
mode that you just go, nope, I'm.
And if you wanna run it that way, then I would say that there's, because I think that, you know, there's something to be said for like some people calling rage like, or wanting to use rage as being in the zone, right? So it's like
that's true, yeah,
saying like, hey, but this is my zone, and
yeah,
and I think that it's fair to call it that, but it manifests differently,
but not
if you
for
want
this
to attach
condition
to the class. Exactly.
But if we do what you just said and say that within the condition, you cannot rage, or you cannot be in the zone while raging, and raging ends the in zone condition.
Sure.
Then you go to traumatized. When traumatized, barbarians may trigger rage without penalty. Like, so basically it's just
even if you're out of rages,
you just get to you get to rage while traumatized.
Although I will say, I think that specifically if traumatized triggers your rage, it should do something like give you a level of exhaustion when you come out.
Totally fine. Totally 100% fine. And then I would also add on there, just like with the other one, there's the little bit of duality. If you're traumatized and raging, like, so when you have both of the conditions active, it's the opposite. So instead of having detriments to your rolls, you have bonuses. So if you're raging and traumatized, you get a +2 to your attack instead of a -2. So you still lose all the ability to think, but it's basically like you're raged and traumatized. You've just gone into beast mode.
Yeah.
It's Super Saiyan time. It's Hulk time. So I think that could be the fun part about Barbarian, is where the zone fucks with their rage, but so does traumatized. In the same way, where like the Barbarian just totally uses this the way no one else can.
I like this a lot.
Oh man, we're gonna have to talk about this. Well, we just talked about it. I don't know what.
Well, no. I think there's more to develop, because I'm still asking questions. Like, when it comes to traumatized condition, I think there should be something where it's like, there are certain detriments, like certain people just can't move. Like, your speed becomes 0 if you're traumatized. You know, depending on like what it is or something like that. Like, you say you're staring at like an elder god for the first time, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm like frozen.
Oh, how about this?
Like, whatever.
If that's the case, how about the first time you are traumatized in a 24-hour period? So basically, it only happens the very first time in a day, right? Because we love that mechanic.
Yeah.
I think we both agree that's an underutilized mechanic.
Absolutely.
The first time a creature is traumatized, they roll on a table.
That's what I was thinking.
That table gives them a condition. So it could give them the frightened condition, the stunned condition, the petrified condition. Basically, it could put them in one of these states that, or nothing could happen, and then they're just traumatized.
Sure.
But I like this idea that the first time, like you just said, you're looking at an eldritch god, and you want them to roll the traumatized chance, and they are traumatized. Well, what happens? Are they locked? Do they have the frightened condition? Do they want to run away from it? Or are they just stun locked? Do they just stare into oblivion? Do they pass out? Do they go prone? Like, you know, like, and you could flavor prone as in you drop to your knees in prayer, like you just hit the ground, or you literally just, you went weak in the knees and you literally just collapsed in awe. So that could be a really fun roll table where the first time in a 24-hour period that you're traumatized, one of these random effects get triggered.
Yeah.
And one of those on the roll has to be nothing. Like, you have to have nothing happens to you. Yeah. But that, like you said, that brings up the beauty of what traumatized. I mean, again, your friend goes down, roll being traumatized, roll, you hit your knees, because it says go prone, so you say you hit your knees. Sure. You saw your best friend go down, the next thing you know, you're on your knees. You just can't stand. Now you're prone. Prone doesn't have to be laying down. Prone just means you're on the ground, immovable, right? You could roll that and be like, you're in shock. You have the stunned condition. You just saw your friend go down. The world the world goes into a tunnel vision, and you can't see the world, right? Hence why you have an advantage, right? You can't see anybody around you. You know, you see your friend go down and you become frightened. The thing that killed it is now you are afraid of it. And now you want to, like, there's so many beautiful ways to tie in a roll table.
This is very true. This is very true. I'm telling you.
And if we really wanted to balance it, if these are supposed to come in a package, we could do the same thing. We can make a roll table for when you're in the zone. And maybe it's you get a +2 to your AC or a +2 to your next attack. Like, maybe you roll for what the bonus is going to be while you're in the zone.
Okay.
So maybe it could be anything from you can have a +2 to your AC, a +2 an attack, maybe an extra bonus action until you're out of the zone. So again, a roll table for different bonuses, because the zone isn't always going to be the same thing every time. The zone is just you being in the moment, but if you have a roll table that tells you what you get from being in the zone, outside of whatever we said the static benefits are. Like you still get the stacking +1, but what if you also get a plus to your AC or an extra bonus action? I'm thinking like, traumatized. What if traumatized means you can't do reactions? That could be one of the detriments is on the roll table, as long as you're traumatized, you can no longer take reactions.
I think that's legit. Absolutely.
So, this is fucking cool. We just damn near created 2 new conditions.
I'm telling you, man.
All off of one question from Hecate. Oh man, we are still like, oh my God, we're almost an hour behind on chat. Like that's how long. Okay. So you're probably, thanks, Cart. Yeah, you'll probably read this after going on about the scale of leveling with your players. One of my notable ones I've ever did was having the common rats in the basement tavern ordeal. But these seasoned players decided to skip past it due to other things and eventually made it so the problem never went away, and instead plague started and the plague spread through the entire region. This is the way that I run High Point. I
love that. I absolutely freaking love that.
You can do whatever you want, but if I told you something's happening and you don't deal with it, it's gonna continue happening. Like, don't think you're gonna walk away.
I feel like I need to like make that a thing more, like, because there's so often where it's like, okay, yes, I'm gonna go after what, but I need to develop the things. Like, hey, if I told you something, if like, and here's the thing, in my world, again, things are, we call it procedurally generated. They're generated in the moment, but once they're generated, they're fucking generated.
Right, but you focus more on where they're going, but not what they left behind.
Right, and I want to make sure that both things are taken into consideration, because I love those little callbacks, and I love the fact that it trains your players to pay attention to everything in the world,
and not just
tiny little pieces. It's like, hey, if we say no to this, something might happen. If we ignore this, maybe there will be another adventurer that comes out and takes care of it, but there might not be.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you might be remembered as the assholes who ditched.
Yeah.
And now you won't get a job again because you've tarnished your reputation.
Absolutely. They know what your priorities lie.
Okay, Soul did come back after getting some food. That's good. Yeah, I'm glad that you're feeling better. I mean, you were playing Fortnite. I mean, you could have just been getting sweaty.
It's the sweats in Fortnite, man.
Could have just been getting sweaty.
I'm gonna be right back.
Let's see. So, ooh, rage and action surge should cost stamina when we were talking about the stamina bars. And then you sent a relevant video in Discord regarding new skills, Which video is this?
I'm gonna go ahead and clean the Carver up. Well, you can try. Carver, I've given you what's called a dirt score.
Oh, I have a dirt score now. So I caught psychosis somehow today, and now I have a dirt score. I am a walking pile of bloating mechanics. I'm gonna log in next week. I'm gonna have 15 more bars beneath my hit points on my character sheet.
We're keeping track of Carver's happiness now.
When you let me know my blood pressure.
That's exactly how it feels.
You have a pet, dude. Why the fuck does Carver have feeding mechanics and bathing mechanics? What is he, a Tamagotchi?
I mean, surprisingly enough, that actually does kind of make a lot of sense to things that I've done in High Point, where I have made up small little things that are afflicting characters just to be a consequence for their actions. So something like that, where, hey, because you've done this, like the dirt score, you now have to pay more attention to it because of whatever you got yourself involved with. Now this is your problem, right? You can't just think it or wish it away. It is now permanently something that you have to pay attention to and deal with. So I kind of dig doing that. And that's, again, goes back to my rule. Not everything needs to be codified. Sometimes you just need to roll with it. It should have been just called chat hijacks. Yeah, that's basically, I love lands like this too. Y'all don't understand, this was always the goal. Honestly, sitting here just getting constant questions and being not necessarily drilled on D&D, but just really getting to chat, talk about creative ideas, not just talk about what's happened or rules that are already established. But this is the kind of stuff that I really like talking about, because yes, we're talking about a lot right now and we're making things, conditions and whatnot, but what I feel that a lot of people miss in terms of the concept of homebrew is, especially with the way that we do it, it's not just changing the rules. Sometimes it's just filling in the explanation of why the rules work the way they do, how they work, and when there are exceptions because the lore makes sense. And that's what I love about these conversations, is we're talking about a lot of like potentially homebrewed things, but at the same time, like the trauma, condition that's not in D&D, but it's a cool idea. It doesn't mean that you have to create these brand new rule sets, but we're talking about if a creature in D&D saw something so traumatizing, what could affect them?
Yeah.
And yes, that is homebrew, but it's not like going out of our way to say, well, D&D doesn't have it and we need to make these brand new rules to no, it's just that's a cool idea. If that ever happens, I want something in my pocket. And I feel like that's what people don't really understand about how you and I operate. It's more about, I don't want to rewrite how D&D works. I honestly prefer to figure out what D&D does first. And Absolutely. I try to use it. The only time I change it is not because I don't like how that works. I only change it when I'm just like, doesn't not necessarily fit the narrative, but that just doesn't fit the way it should work, the way I have everything else operate, right?
Sure.
And that's where I think my way of homebrewing is slightly different, because I'm not looking to say I play D&D but not use any of the rules. I'm just trying to make sure that the explanation is more than just, well, that's what the rules say.
See, what I really appreciate about this, especially about the questions that we continue to get, is how much it engages us specifically in our understanding of what we do. Right?
Yes.
And I think that's what I'm hoping that more people get out of what we basically showcase for everybody else, is how to think about these types of things, how you process what makes sense to you. You and I will both come at something from very different directions, but a lot of the times it's for the same intent and for the same reasons. And we see how easily it is to leapfrog off of one platform to another and be like, oh, that takes me this direction, that takes me this direction, and now I can understand more about this world that we both are existing in. Because even though our realms are very, very different places, there is a lot of, you can call it a Venn diagram, whatever, but there's a lot of overlap that occurs in these spaces with what makes sense, how things work and how things function. I think for us specifically, it's a lot because you introduced me to this game in the first place, and that's where a lot of my, to a certain extent, preconceived notions of what the game's about come from. But
that happens.
At the same time, I feel like even now we disagree on certain things, when it comes to how I would develop something versus how you would. But I think that comes from what I have found makes the most sense, and I get the most I'm most comfortable understanding how to run, right? And I think that's a very different thing. It's you understand how to run things the way that you do, and it's if you were to try and run them the way I do, I don't think it would work.
And they were and not in a bad way, just they were never meant for you. It was never meant to be something to hand off to somebody. It was a way for me to be a DM, to be confident and to be consistent, to tell a story I wanted to tell. And again, I just happen to be a DM. I don't want to tell a dozen different stories. I don't want to tell the same story 1,000 different times. I don't want to look for brand new stories that someone else has written. I love fiction and nonfiction. I love reading and audiobooks. It influences me. Obviously, I take influence from everything, but the idea of, again, putting time, effort, and money into an entire system to understand everything, to interact with it, in my opinion, temporarily, right? I can go out and get the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TTRPG. I could read all about it. We could spend time, learn all the mechanics, come up with an idea of how we want to tell this story, maybe run a module, go save April from Shredder, whatever we want to do. But at the end of the day, that was a lot of work to be like, cool, that was fun. We're probably not going to do that again. Because it's very video gamey to me. When it comes to TTRPGs, unlike video games, I can hop into a video game, play a little bit, be detached, whatever, sometimes get into the story, sometimes not. I can play multiple different video games because they're packaged well.
Sure.
And video games are very good at being very universal. W is going to always be forward on a PC game, right? You push the stick forward, unless you're flying, you're going to move forward. If you're flying, you're probably going to pitch. But point is there's a lot of universal aspects to games that are easy to pick up. But when you have TTRPGs, there is nothing fun about sitting there for an hour just trying to remember how that die affects that roll during this situation. That is not fun for me.
Yeah.
When it comes to TTRPGs, having to look up a rule, why I do not mind it at all, why I like solving problems. I hate not knowing how something works. And I don't just mean like, oh, I don't know how that mechanic works. That sucks. But I mean like literally just being like, okay, look, so you have life, but when I roll to attack, what I'm really rolling is against your fortitude. And then you're going to roll defense when you're going to add your armor's bonus. But then I have to roll against the fact that and like, that's the part that I hate. So not the complexity. It's just, I don't want to do that.
I'll say,
and then a month later, do it again.
One of my favorite things to do, all the time, I not all the time, but like on occasion, I'll get to go to a game night, right? With a bunch of people. They got a bunch of different board games from all over the place.
Yeah.
I love going to these game nights, standing behind a group of people playing a game that I've never played before, and just literally trying to figure out the rules of this game through context clues like that.
Right.
But that in and of itself is the game that I'm playing.
Yeah.
Is to piece that stuff together. Like that's what I'm doing. If I want to play that game, then I'll play that game. But if I want to play D&D, like I want to be a part of a story. Like I want to be able to immerse myself in what I'm doing. And you really only get a chance to do that when all the rules are free enough. So every time I play a game with a new DM and I'm slowly starting to explore and learn their world, every once in a while I'll get shook out of my immersion when I go to interact with a way that feels familiar to me from playing D&D in other people's spaces. And, you know, I try to be gentle, like whenever you play a video game, you don't know whether you're going to be able to jump off the cliff.
Yeah,
or
you got to try
a wall.
To say, hey,
you got to try it. Like you're testing the bounds, right? The same thing goes in these other worlds. So a lot of the times you're trying to figure out, you're trying to interact, you're trying to see what works and what doesn't. But there's other times where you think something's a staple, like gravity. When I jump up, I'm gonna come back down, and it doesn't happen, and it breaks you out of immersion. Like, am I in space? Like, what's going on?
Right.
Like, why is this not?
And the only explanation is, well, that's just what the rules are. And it's like,
but
I have nothing to attach to other than now I just have to memorize that for no reason.
Even if it does make sense to them, it's like, okay, yes, I'm learning this, but every time that happens, okay, I'm breaking immersion. So like, if I'm learning it to learn it, and like now it's going to be consistent, and I don't have to constantly go back to it, just like you're saying, I don't want to have to relearn that every single time I'm playing.
Yeah.
Like, let me have some consistency. Like, if I'm gonna play, let me play.
And that's,
you know what I mean?
And that's why I just will never understand. I mean, again, this isn't a slight against them. It's just, I will never understand the part of the community that's just all about test every TTRPG, buy every TTRPG, play every TTRPG. And if there's a mechanic, go to the TTRPG that does that mechanic. It's like, because for me, it's like you are so focused on. I don't have this mindset where I look at that and go, that makes perfect sense because they built everything around it. It's just, to me, it's like, that's the perfect concept of, well, I want to cherry pick that because if they did it good, I just want the mechanics for it.
Sure.
But the idea of, I like that mechanic, so I want to play that entire game. Like, what if I really liked how Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles does combat, but I don't want to play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't want to be in that world. I don't want to be in New York as a mutant turtle going after ninjas. That's just not a fun, but I loved how they decided to do initiative and their combat roles, right? So I'm not really a fan of the TTRPG community who just would like, well, go try these other 5 games that have the same combat and then figure out which one you like. Like, no, I'm sorry. That's not how my TISM works. That's not how my brain feels comfortable, right? I'm the kind that, it's like, I found comfort in the lore and the story of Forgotten Realms. I found my own niche in the way I wanted to tell my story with High Point. And I started off rules heavy. But then again, as the lore started making it more difficult to make these rules either make sense or just feel good, I started making my modifications. And I've learned that I am that person. I have my safe space. High Point is my safe space. I will go into other people's games. I will test it out. But it's not that I don't give them a fair shot. It's just most other games are not enticing to relearn from the ground up. And yes, does that limit me? Sure. It's not that I don't play other games. It's just that I do. I create a character and I'm just like, okay, that it's either just lackluster or it's too complicated or it's cool, but it's not enough. Like, oh man, that was a cool character creation. But then the rest of it's just like, okay, not enough to keep me here, right? You know, same thing. It's like, you can have a great, like, have you ever played a video game where you're like, you start it, great intro. You're like, man, this character creator, I'm gonna sit down, you zone out, you're like 2 hours in it, you're just like, this was the best character creator I've ever been in. You get into the game, you can't even see your fucking character. Ever.
Sure.
You never see your character ever again.
Yeah.
You're either third person, 50 feet away, or it's first person and there are no mirrors. And you're like,
What's even
I
the point?
loved everything. And then the game sucks.
Yeah.
And you're like, so you're telling me that if I would like character creation, I should play this game, even though every aspect of it sucks and I can never see my character, but it has the best character creator, so you should play this game. That's what it sounds like to me when someone says, well, if you like this mechanic, you should play this game because it does that mechanic the best, or because it's in that game, so therefore if you want that mechanic, you have to play the game it comes with. And it's like, that's just like saying, oh, well, if you like guns, play Call of Duty. I know you don't like PvP. I know you don't like fast pace. I know you don't like real-time war. I know you don't like, modern day. And I know you don't like basically how it looks, but you like, you like shooter games, and that's the best shooter game. So just play that one because it has the exact gun mechanics you want, even though it has nothing else you like, but it has the gun mechanics you like.
Sure.
That's a dumb explanation
And I'll
to
say
tell
that
anybody.
it's even dumber when you recognize that with a video game like Call of Duty, you can't take the gun mechanics out of Call of Duty and put it in PAL World.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing you can do. But you can do it with a TTRPG.
And
You 100% freaking can. I can take these rules and I can adapt them, and use them in the game that I'm playing just fine. And
100%.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where I stand. It's like, it's not that I'm trying to be out here saying everyone should homebrew. I just want to encourage the people who just don't feel like the game's as written vibe. And they're just like, but I don't feel comfortable changing it. It's like, that's what we're here for, is just to be like, no, it ain't wrong to change it. It's not right. It's not the correct way to play. I do always suggest play the game as it's written, but be comfortable making decisions.
There's an element, a lot of these games, that they have been developed to function in a certain way, and there are elements that play well with each other, right? Like when you think about in standard D&D, when it comes to your AC and the modifiers that you get for like your attacks, like if the modifiers were based upon something else and they got up to like 20 and 30 modifiers, then your AC, they can really only ever get to like between 20 and 30 realistically. Yes, some people can get it up to 50 or something stupid, but like generally speaking, it's only going to be, if you had a plus 20, like your AC is going to be almost meaningless. So changing certain things can have a certain effect that has like a domino effect. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But when you recognize the scope of what you're doing, and again, that's what I think a lot of what we talk about here, what we develop, and how our minds are walking through all of these pieces, it allows people to think wholly about how this is going to affect other elements of the game, and paying attention to those elements, and helping you to understand how you can take something from somewhere else and port it into, or use like logic to enable it to function in a different space.
You brought up a really good point just now, because I feel that there is a lot of people who, especially with 5th edition has made it very obvious that people look at balancing D&D like math, very much like math, right? Where 5th edition made it to where saying something was imbalanced almost is too easy because everything is too simple, right?
Sure.
So one thing that I always go back to is like, I try to think of like, what is, I said not one of the most unique things, because I basically stole it from my DM, so
Sure.
it's not fully mine, but I have honed it to fit my perspective of how I think it should work. But the way that I do attacks, the attacks per round and how you level up, I fucking love the way I do that. Like, that is probably, if you were to ask me what is, like, outside of lore and everything, what is one of my favorite mechanics of High Point, it's weapon proficiencies and how I do attacks per round.
Yeah.
That is hands down one of my favorite.
Is that not
things.
standard second
Yeah.
edition? So
Hope
what
it
is
is
standard
not.
second edition?
Unless you're a fighter, 1 attack per round.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah, old school D&D was rough on
That's
combat.
fucking wild.
Which is also a little bit, like probably why I think combat should take a little bit longer, because it used to take a lot longer.
Sure.
But yeah, this is why I don't agree with that, but I also don't agree with how 5th edition does it, which is you basically get 1 attack per round unless you're a fighter. Like, let's face it, you get 1 attack, but you get 3 actions, but you get 1 attack per round.
Yeah.
It's just a modified version of that. So and then that's where adopting like main action and then secondary action, free actions.
I do really like the way that functions.
I prefer that.
Yeah.
Over bonus action and reaction. But I digress. I love the way I do my combat. I love the way that I do that, because whereas most people would be like, wait a minute, you can have up to 5 attacks per round per weapon. Oh my, just so broken. And it's like, yeah, if you look at it from a 5th edition standpoint, if you gave any rogue 5 attacks with unlimited backstabs and unlimited, extra like, yeah, with flurry of blows giving among 5, actions, but that's not how it works, right? It's not how it works, because I base it on proficiency points. You only get proficiency points every so many levels, so it's not like you get one every level. You get them only so many levels, and how you spend them depends on how you're going to get attacked. So it's not as you level up, everyone's going to get 5 attacks. You have to dedicate to a weapon to get 5 attacks out of it. So while this person over here can have 3 different weapons and 2 attacks each, no matter what weapon they're carrying, you might only have 5 attacks per round if you are carrying that weapon. The moment that weapon's not in your hand, you're back to 1 attack per round. Sucks to be you. That is my balance. My balance is that I am rewarding your expertise, I am rewarding your dedication, and that's how combat should feel. I don't care that you can handle and pick up multiple weapons, but you're not gonna be this amazing, brilliant combat expert with 5 different weapons.
Unless you spent the time and energy and effort to do so.
Unless you earned it. And that's why, to me, I think that's what makes High Point super stand out is my combat, because when you can decide I can be a jack of all trades and do a thing where you pull out a weapon and a dagger, throw the dagger, attack with the weapon, drop it, pull out a whip, and be cool. But yeah, that's cool. But if you want to be the guy that just takes a staff out and goes, bam, 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 and just annihilate.
All right.
But both of those are perfectly viable.
I'm sorry my brain went here, but I need to ask this. How many proficiency points is too many proficiency points to wish for?
To wish for?
Yes. Because it's a simple wish. But again, you say the more out of balance a wish is, the more it gets fucked.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Now, I'm not saying it's hard to fuck with. Like, you can
I would have
to anything, but like at what point where you'd be like, all right, I need to start fucking with this because you started to get a little greedy?
I mean, I would say, I'm not going to give an immediate answer because I actually will have to think about that, because the question is whether or not a single wish is for 1 point. Like, because again, multiple things equal more wishes. So the question I guess I would have to ask, excuse me. The question I would have to ask first is, can you wish for multiples, or does each instance, is it powerful enough? Like, is it worth it enough? Like, because if you said, I wish for a gold versus I wish for 10 gold, that's not going to cost 10 wishes.
Sure.
But if you wish for a sword that does fire and ice damage, that's a sword of fire and ice, that's 3 wishes.
Sure.
So that's how I do it, is like, is the proficiency point so powerful that it is the sword, the ice, yes, and the fire?
Exactly.
Or is asking for 3 just
similar to asking for 3 gold?
Yes.
Sure.
So that's the first and foremost question, is I would have to decide in my mind, how expensive and how valuable are those?
Okay.
But off the top of my head, I'm going to tell you, because you can only put 5 into a single weapon without in-game training.
Sure.
So even if I gave you that, I would say beyond 10, you are 100% getting fucked with. Even at 10, I'm probably going to do something because that's pretty greedy. But I do that because at best, that's only 2 masteries.
Sure.
So again, if you have that many wishes and you're going to do a wish on that, you're probably well enough in High Point that I'm not that worried about it. But at 10, that's also 10 new weapons. You could just now pick up 10 weapons, or you could master 5, or you can master 2, or you can get proficient in 5. Like, you have a lot more with those proficiencies. Sure. I would say 10 is the safest you should ever ask. Anything beyond that, you were definitely getting into, I'm going to have fun with that, because now the question becomes, where's all that experience coming from? Because proficiency is your time and effort with weapons. So I can give you some freebie knowledge. I can give you a little bit of,
Give me a little Matrix download.
Just a little bit of Matrix. Just wait a second.
I want to fly this copter.
This dagger feels a little bit easier, similar to a short sword. Okay, I could do that. But all of a sudden, when you're like, I want to master like 10 years of experience, master 5 different weapons. Where's that coming from, bud?
Sure.
And how would I fuck with that? I gotta go to the bathroom real quick, but I'll leave you with one way I would fuck with that. So let's say you wanted to be egregious and be like, I want generations worth of experience. You'll get it. But two things will happen. You'll get it preloaded. They'll be like, so you have weapons in mind? Be like, cool. Do you want to master 5 different ones? Do you know what weapons you want? Cool. You've mastered all of those. By the way, roll me, intelligence, constitutional. I'll come up with a, a mental check.
Sure.
And you roll that and you're just like, you notice that, yeah, you have all this new knowledge, but it's not yours. And that's why I just leave you with that, is it's not yours.
Yeah, that's honestly one of the first places my mind went. It was like,
so now you can use that weapon, but every time you do, you're not the one using it. Now, I wouldn't do full-on takeover like your body like werewolf, but most likely what I would do is be like, oh yeah, so it's like, oh, I knew the sword, but in this I knew the staff. First time you pick up a staff, you now have to make a mental check on who's in control, because now it's your ancestor who learned the staff who wants the control of your body, because you want his. And so then it's now it would be a game of anytime you wanted to use their concept, you have to do battles with them until you either win and gain their respect, and then it's freely yours, or you lose too many times where whenever you use it, you don't actually have control over the ability.
See, I was thinking, because I like that same concept, but I was thinking like maybe you took it from somebody else who's alive.
Oh no, that happens too. That can happen too. That depends on how mean I'm being.
And now they're coming after you because they want their abilities back or something like that.
I get it.
And then
it could swap with one. Like you say, I actually want this one over here, and it's like you get that, but maybe you lost something to exchange. Yeah, there's a couple different ways that I would do it. It depends on how egregious and what you were asking, right? Because if you were asking for it in line of how your character was created, then it would probably be an ancestor. But if you're just going out of nowhere, then yeah, that it's coming from someone, and that someone fucking matters, right?
Maybe you have to do like a history check to like, or some sort of like mental check to like remember how to, because you don't know where to, like, you don't necessarily know how to like access these memories or like where they're at. There's plenty of stuff that I know that I've forgotten, you know. It's like the filing system for
or it's like it acts like muscle memory. So it's like, this weapon, but you have a -2 to attack because you just know how to use it, but you don't know how to use it effectively.
You'll be as powerful with it, but you won't be as proficient with it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
you can do all those attacks, but all your attacks, that's crazy.
So yeah, it's
that's
like you
actually crazy.
Like, because think about it, like you just downloaded it. So it's like, yes, you know how to do that move, but you don't know when to use it. So sure, you could swing those 5 attacks, but 3 of them are going to get blocked because you didn't know. Yeah, because how many times is that it, right? Like you could, because it's like what fighters say, you could train the muscle memory, but you have to know when to use it. You can't just do what you do in class.
To be very fair, like that's so true of like somebody learning to play their character, which is why I feel like going back to us talking about when you should start somebody at level 1. I think brand new players need to start at level 1 because you need to understand what it's like to walk through a character developing all the way from nothing.
Yeah.
Like you can do the most basic of basic stuff. At
the hardest part is to keep the enticement. So normally that's why I say my first players get to start at level 3.
Sure.
Because let's face it, especially because it's a brand new player, I want to at least give them a head start into touching things.
Sure.
But that's why I have that rule of any player who's already played with me, no, you're starting at level 1. Because if you've played with me long enough to have a secondary character, you've probably played long enough with some specialty shit that you need to be knocked back a peg and remember what it was like. But also, it's a challenge to you because you have now the opportunity to play with things without access, right? To have to strive and do new puzzles. And you're more likely to go through the process a lot faster. So you're only going to stay level 1 for like a gaming session or 2.
Sure.
You're only going to stay level.
That's the biggest thing for me is it's like, I'm okay with, early level, especially because, I'm gonna put them, we'll say, through their paces so that they can get to a place where it's like, all right, now I've kind of settled into my groove or to how I want to do things or whatever.
Let's see. Yeah, I do like the off topics cart. Like, just again, I love when nights like this we get good questions, we get to tackle them, but it also leads to just additionals. Yes, I knew you were talking about the Bagman. Keep a little dirt. No, that's the dirt man. But I mean, hey, you could have a little jingle for the Bagman.
Hey, I'm not gonna let. That's very fair. Although, who did I was watching some TikTok from some creator that was talking about how to mess with your players, or how to like teach the players consequences for their actions.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, oh hey, we got to hey guys, watch this.
Bagman. Roll the dice.
He's like, you need to roll a wisdom saving. No, I was just to find out today, bro.
Yeah. I got some specialty things that hide in the shadows that like there's actually a brand new one that I saw. There's an indie film, I think, that just came out, like a super low budget, just like not even from an like just people made it, like just not a studio,
sure,
just like a group of friends. But I think it's called like The Gray Men or something, where essentially it's a similar premise that we've heard before, but essentially like dude tells his daughter like, hey, if you see this person, never take your eyes off them. You cannot take your eyes off them. So there's this scene where she's looking out a window, she sees it in the yard, like brother or something comes up and asks about it, and he's like she's like, I can't stop looking at it. Dad said don't stop looking at it, but he's just standing there, and so they're both just staring at this dude. He's like in a tattered suit.
He has those short films.
Yeah. He has like a bag over his head and shit. And so the story is like you have to keep your eyes on him, and they don't know what will happen. Well, he's like, well, I'll keep an eye on him. You go call Dad. So she leaves the room and he's staring at him. She comes back in and she goes, what the fuck? I thought you were supposed to stare at him. And he's like, I am. He's right there. He's still in the lawn. She's like, I don't see him. She turns around and there's another one. So the whole premise is the moment you see one, you can't take your eyes off it or it comes after you. If someone else sees it and you both look away, it doubles itself and will go after both of you. So every new person that sees it, it creates a new version.
So
to continue.
That reminds me of one of my favorites that I saw was this this dude. He gave his friend like a box or something like that. And
don't look in the box. Yeah, and the guy's coming out of it, like crawling slowly ever out of it, as long as
then he like switches with his girlfriend or something like that. It's like, no, I gave it to you. You need to keep looking at it.
Not anybody, just you can't.
And then he goes, he turns
and the
around,
girl's gone.
Rushes back, bro.
But the girl's already gone.
Yeah, and he hears a voice
because it's already out.
Bruh.
No, but that's the kind of stuff about like so. The Bagman is just like another version of that, and I do have little creepy crawlies that. There's just some things that you just
do that to my players so bad.
Like the Gray Man is a cool concept because I just recently started thinking about that after seeing it on YouTube, and I'm just like, it's a cool it'd be very difficult to play out.
Sure.
But stuff like that, right? Like the whole idea of there are consequences to things, and they're not nice. They're not happy. Like they're not just brutal. Those things are creepy as fuck. But again, the people that say, well, you can't do horror in D&D, it's like, you mean you can't make people afraid because they're superheroes. No, you can do horror in D&D.
Bro, I had thought about, those Doctor Who villains, the ones that whenever like the second you stop looking at them, you forget about their existence.
Yeah, the silence.
Yeah. I've been thinking like how to do something, how to make your players forget about something, how to interact with your players in a way without like letting them know they're seeing something, but like they're seeing something. You know what I mean?
Let me use the restroom real quick and I'll come back because I do have an idea.
Okay. I don't know. I love that concept. I love that idea. I think that could be very cool. There was this one time, and again, I did it pretty poorly, and I kind of think it was either because my players were as young as they were, or because they were just humoring me that it went as well as it did. But I actually got two of my, also it's because I run my D&D as ghetto as possible, so they never know exactly what's happening when I'm describing stuff to them. But I had two of my players actually fighting each other while I was describing to them fully different scenes, and like I literally had to go back and forth between them, one versus the other, to figure out what they were doing, so that when I went back to the other, I could describe what happened to them, even though it was exactly what the other person was doing, but in a way that didn't sound like what the other person was doing, so they didn't catch on. It was absolutely crazy. But like that worked well for me in that scenario. But I feel like too many players would catch on, even if their characters weren't supposed to catch on.
Yeah.
And I love those types of like reveals when they finally realize what's happening, but like it's really hard to like present it in a way where like give them the possibility of finding out, but at the same time, you know.
So here's what I got for you. So you want to talk about how to do that, right? So I'll give you a scenario in which, like, I'll give you the scenario which you could do this, which is like the ultimate, like, fuck you betrayal kind of like one. But there's a lot of different ways you can implement this. But I'll give you the scenario first, and then I'll give you like the method. So the scenario you were talking about, like, how do you get them to interact with something that they forget about?
Sure.
So the worst one you could do is make it a party member. So I'm just gonna give you that premise: is it's actually a party member that's doing this, like causing it. Like they can't remember the party member when they're not looking, kind of thing.
Oh.
So I'm gonna give you the premise of that's the worst thing you could do.
Interesting.
But here's how you make it work. You were talking about how do you make this interactive?
Sure.
It's as simple as giving them freebies they had no idea about. So it could be as simple as they have a key. Like they have a lock and they're just like, does anybody have a key? And like, you found one in your pocket. Fits perfect. No, you guys don't know where that came. Like probably just on the loot. You know, you just let it go. Just every now and again, they have a note that they don't remember writing. Like it looks like it's in your writing actually, but it's a helpful hint. It's actually going to point you right where you need to go. Little things. It's like, blah, blah, blah. Who, like, what's the password? Well, I don't know. It's like, roll me wisdom. These arches look familiar. Like you've never seen them, but the bow and the way that they're made by the wood. Is the password this? I think you actually know the password. You give them freebies. Shit, they've never, and again, you make sure it's never something they've talked about in game. This is, you hold on to it.
Sure.
And only randomly by dice roll or whatever, they get something. A piece of knowledge that they didn't even know they had. Like, they're just like, hey, yeah, you know that. Like, wait, when did I learn that? Be like, you just know it. And that's when eventually they'll get a big reveal. They'll meet a creature, or you do the big reveal towards the BBEG where like the spell gets broken.
Sure.
And then suddenly it's hey guys. And they're like, who's this? It's like, it's your party member. It's Ben. He's been here the whole time. You guys all know Ben. Like he's been here since day one. He's what brought you all together. I mean, he's the one that sent the note to all. Remember the note that brought you on session 0? He's the one that, you all know that. He handed it to you. And then you start making them realize like, yeah, he's the one who got you the key. He's the one who talked to the vicar and brought you the key to open that door. Yeah, he's the one who told you to write the note. He's like, you guys are going to forget in the morning. Make that. And then you start to make them realize that all those freebies were the things that were happening that they never got to remember. So you have to do a lot. What's up, Rowan? Thank you so much for the raid.
Let's go.
Appreciate you. Nice to see you. Hope you're having a good night. Hope you had a great stream.
Welcome
to the chat.
Welcome.
We're talking about some D&D nonsense right now. So thank you for the follow as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so that's how I would do that. I would run a silence-like effect where you decide how long it's going to matter, but you sprinkle in things that have no explanation, usually are beneficial, sometimes detrimental, but you but you don't do it in such a way that makes them realize that like they don't have memories, right? You don't want to you have marks on your arm and you don't understand, and you have this danger note that says don't trust anybody. You always just do it in the most slightly helpful way. Not Deus Ex Machina, not, oh my goodness, it wouldn't have worked. You just do little things that would make sense when you finally realize there's someone here that you didn't know. I mean, hell, I know it sounds stupid because you could Deus Ex Machina this all the time, but like a random, like someone tries to heal someone and it doesn't work, but then they get healed anyway. Stupid shit like that. Like, again, you don't want to do it in situations where it was too obvious that the guy should have acted or shouldn't have acted.
Mm-hmm.
But if you work the story in just enough, it could just be a friendly NPC that they're not allowed to remember.
Okay.
And then one day you make the big reveal and the veil drops and they're allowed to remember, and every good thing that ever happened just ties back to this NPC they couldn't remember.
Awesome.
So that's how you do it. Is unexplained positivity, but in subtle ways. Just little things that they don't know why they know.
I'm here for that. I'm actually here for that. I like that.
And hence why the worst way to do that would be to reveal that they actually have like a 7th party member. Because I just mean like that's the worst way, because I mean that's just like the gut-wrenching, like you know, like mind bending
the whole time.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just that mind bending thing. Like you go through all these stories and this drama, and then you find out like you've basically been ignoring this person the whole time. Or I mean, man, imagine the mind fuck. Like, wait a second, we've been traveling for 2 years together. We've fought, we've cried, and you're telling me we never. He knows we never get to remember him unless we're like. So just that mind fuck of the emotions of like, there's a whole other ass person that you all have not known you're neglecting, but you haven't been neglecting. They've always been there.
It's so
you just don't remember.
You know, it would be really crazy. Like every time you turn and like actually see their face, all the memories are there. But the second you look away, there's just like this block.
That's the point. Like, that's how the silence works. Oh wait, are we getting raided again? What up, Mind's Been a minute since we saw you. Nice to see you again.
Wild.
Hope you had a fantastic stream tonight. Thank you so much. Welcome, Raiders. We are discussing random nonsense right now.
Incoming. Oh, I love it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. We are talking about how you would do the silence power from Doctor Who in D&D right now.
Yes.
So my method, I was just explaining, is that basically you do small positive things for the players, and just never really give them an explanation, right? They know a password, they have a key, there's a special note in their own handwriting they don't remember writing. Little tiny things to help them along the way until they figure out that it's because they have a helper that they can't remember. So, still deliberating, but I haven't seen you guys live. Well, we appreciate it. I appreciate it. So yeah, bring them on over if you'd like. Do what you have to do. But yeah, so I think that would be the best way to do it. And again, like that's the idea, right? Works like the silence. Every time they see them, everything's normal. That's why when the veil breaks, you just explain all. You have to remember and explain all those times were him. And it's like you're just like, of course you know him. Like you don't make it to where suddenly you remember him. It's like, no,
you've known him the whole time. He's been here.
He just, you know, he's the one that buys you guys. Like you could do small things too, where maybe you want to do a trope this game where you're like, I really don't want to track your guys' food. So maybe you never do. And then at the very end of the reveal, like, what do you mean he's been here the whole time? Like, do you guys
been buying your food?
Like, yeah,
bro?
like, do you like guys, do you have any memory of paying for food? Like, no, every bar you've ever, have I ever charged you? No. Who do you think was paying?
That's why.
Oh, well, we just thought you weren't, but no. Like, do you guys know why I don't bother with encumbrance?
Somebody carries all that for you.
Like, you know how many little things
crazy.
You could make sense? Just by, like, you guys remember that dungeon you did? How do you think you got back all the gold? How do you think you carried all that shit? Like, there's just so
we went back a holding, right?
Like, little tiny things like that, I think, are just absolutely brilliant. But it only matters when you make that big reveal, like the spell has to finally drop.
Right.
You know, where it's like, okay, you get all of your memories back permanently.
This is very true.
So I think that is really the best way to bring that kind of power in without making it a big deal, right? It has to be subtle. It can't be, you know, Deus Ex Machina every time. Because the strange part though is you are going to run into problems where if like you get a near TPK, how do you describe how they survived if, you know, they didn't see him, right? And, you know, you could say like, oh, well, you know, you passed out during the enemy's monologue and then you didn't know what happened afterwards, right? So
sure.
It's like you have to be very careful in some situations to describe, well, why didn't he do XYZ if it's a party member? That's why I say that's like the most egregious example.
Sure.
Is to say it should be a party member. But if it's just a random NPC,
it's kind of like what we're talking about. You as you start doing this kind of stuff more, as you start thinking about this kind of stuff more, you'll start to cover a lot more of your bases when it comes to stuff like that. And it'll be easier for you to recognize, oh, I need to know, or I recognize that, oh, he wouldn't have been here because of X, Y, and Z, or he would have done that because of X, Y, and Z, or whatever the case may be. And it'll just become smoother and smoother. So, you know, I'm not opposed to people trying it out. You know, something I've been working on just in general is, you know, get better at failing well, right? Because no matter what, you're gonna fail at some stuff. Like you're gonna screw some stuff up, but it's how you take that, how you run with it, how you use it later. That's really the test or the measure of how well you end up being able to do, or how proficient you end up getting at whatever it is you're working towards. So, you know, get good at screwing up because it's gonna happen, but like every single time, oh yeah, I did forget about that. Well, maybe it'd have been like this instead. But next time I'm like, okay, now I know. Now I know.
Absolutely.
Now I've got it better.
All right, we got any more questions from chat? I think we finally caught up. It took us an hour, but I think we finally caught up with all of the questions from chat.
That's crazy. That's so wild.
All right. Well, thank you and welcome everybody from Mind's Eye. Looks like we got everybody successfully transferred over. Welcome. If you have any D&D questions, feel free to ask them. We are probably going to be closing up here, almost 3-hour stream tonight.
That was wild.
But hey, if any of you are still around and listening, we are going to be having a subathon tomorrow. It is our 3-year anniversary. Actually, it was our 3-year anniversry on Tuesday, but we didn't get a chance to stream. So tomorrow we're going to make up for that. We're going to be starting at probably between 10 and 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, a.m.
Yep.
So if that sounds kind of fun and you want to see more of our content and just some goofy stuff that we do, come on by tomorrow.
It's gonna be fire.
It'll be a lot of fun. We have a lot of good redemptions and a lot of good topics that we're going to be doing. We'll do some rapid fire questions. We're going to be doing some D&D build stuff, so we'll actually create some things. And yeah, it's going to be a banger of a time. So I'd like to see everybody there if you're interested. And who knows, maybe we'll entice you enough for a subscription.
Oh, yeah. And we do some gaming, in case you guys didn't know. We love video games. We love the nerd stuff all around.
And we don't just play them. We'll actually play them with you guys as well. We've actually recently adopted, actually, I could probably just let you all know if you want. You can join our Discord and follow us in all of the social medias. But we do have a whitelist. So if you are interested, you can join the Discord and you can follow us. And you'd be able to join the whitelist to join us while we play games. We play things, I mean, what do we have on the list right now? We have Marvels, we have Fortnite, we have the finals, we have Rocket League. So yeah, we have a couple different games that we'll play with the community. We're going to do some live play tomorrow. So we'll actually get to see a little bit of High Point in live play. And
in action. Yeah,
we might paint some minis and we might do imaged item, something that we like to do where the community will send us an image of anything, and then we will turn that into a magic item or legendary wondrous item in D&D based purely off of its look and vibes that we have. So that's all going to happen tomorrow. Yeah, I can't. 3 years, man. 3 years, dude, twice a week.
Wild, man.
I am just that is so hard to wrap my head around sometimes, because we were talking about this off stream right before today, where we have people that have been following us for almost 24 months.
Yeah.
Like subscribing to us, which is just, again,
basically hard as long as you've been able to subscribe to us.
Exactly. And it's just like, it's sometimes I have to remember how long people have been following us and listening to us and keeping up, because I'm just like, part of me still feels like we're barely in year 2. Like, I remember year 1 was a trial, but after year 1 and we got comfortable, these last 2 years really haven't felt that long. It's just every Monday, Friday. Dude, it's just part of our schedule.
It's very much.
So, like, when I think about, like, man, y'all have known us for 2 years. Like, you've listened to us weekly talk about D&D, and then you think, like, how have we talked about D&D?
And we still got more stuff to talk about.
For 3 straight years, and we still haven't.
We're excited to talk about Goku tomorrow.
It is so strange just to think of all that has happened
and a big part of it is you guys sending us your community creations, man.
Oh yeah, Monday homebrew review. If any of y'all like review content, if you like homebrew content, we do every Monday we do a homebrew review where someone from our community has created something. It could be a spell, a condition, a subclass, a race, a background, doesn't really matter.
Dude,
they submit it to us.
3 subscriptions?
Wait, what?
Is that what happened?
Hold on, what just happened here? I didn't get the alert. The alert hasn't queued off just yet. Cart just gifted 5 tier 1 subs. Cart, you are an absolute legend, but the subathon is tomorrow, my friend.
Here, bro.
You can't do it early. It's tomorrow.
You're pre-gaming, man. That's all right, dude.
5 subs. What would 5 subs have gotten you tomorrow? I actually don't know off the top of my head. What would 5?
That's crazy.
What would 5 subs have gotten Cart? Just as an option. Thank you so much, Cart. That is absolutely phenomenal. But you are a day early. Where is it? Where is my overlay?
When was the unicorn review?
Oh, there it goes.
Boom. Come on now.
All right, so well, every sub would have added 6 minutes, and at 5 subs, that would have been the first hot sauce challenge. So that would have been a nice
we're gonna
large.
have to start off with some hot sauce tomorrow.
Yep. That. Well, no. It resets every session, but that would have been a hot sauce. That would have been a tablespoon of Scotch bonnet, which is 350,000 Scoville units.
Goodness.
So that's just a small taste of what we have tomorrow, with a whole lot of other stuff going on. But that's what Cart would have won. But congratulations, Milo. Mine's Eye. Oh, we got 2 Milos. We got Rowan and Hilltop. Vixie got a sub. I don't think Vixie needed one. And Wimpy. Well, congratulations, everybody, for getting a sub. Hopefully that will entice you to come and hang out now that you're a sub. We also have a sub-only chat in Discord. So you 5 kid. Well, I get Vixie was already there, but y'all can come and hang out and get some updates for us. Or from us, I say. Let's see. No ads for 5 of you. Yeah, and no ads. We all love killing off those ads.
Heck yes.
When was the Unicron review?
43.
That was the 43rd?
It was the 43rd review we've done.
Man, what episode was that? We weren't counting episodes like on the title. Man, it's a Soul.
I can find the episode
so
title.
Soul's been around. I remember that too. I remember Soul coming in on Unicron and like being really interested in that and just being like, I'll follow you guys. You guys seem cool.
Was that Soul's first one?
That was when Soul joined. So that was review 43, and we're at review like 120 now.
Oh, I haven't added search on here. Rude.
Because I think we're well over 100 now. So that was 60 some odd weeks ago.
That's crazy.
That was 60 some odd weeks you've been following us, man. Yeah, I don't know why it gave Vixie ones. Vixie is one of my mods and admins, so I don't know why Vixie got one. Oh, technically Cart is on time since it's Saturday for Soul, but that, doesn't count. Doesn't count for you. For your altercation I made for my players above. Oh, what do you think? I missed your altercation above. Let me double check what you wrote. Let's see. No other instructions include eventually the chaos suit. All found out the memory was implanted by a hybrid version of a false. Oh, here we are. Do you know the joke where you give all your players a paper that says you're not the traitor? I did something similar, but reversed and gave them all a piece of paper saying you feel like you are a traitor and you are sorry.
What?
And then it turned out to just be false memories from a false Hydra. So basically the false Hydra made everyone think they're the reason everyone was disappearing.
That's so wild.
That's actually pretty dope. I like that. Yeah, so as a DM, I am one of those types where I am a firm believer that the DM needs to be aware of everything in order to properly maintain the story and the narrative. But when it comes to players, while I love telling a collaborative story and I love the party being cohesive, I am very much under the opinion that all players and all characters should have their own missions, have their own goals, have their own agendas. August 26th of 2024?
2024. Yeah.
But not to the detriment of the party. So it's not that your private agenda and goal should ever come at a detriment to the party itself.
What do you mean by detriment?
Like, you shouldn't be intentionally trying to derail the party for your own end goals. Now, granted, can it derail? Chaos can ensue. Sure. But I mean, you shouldn't be like, I'm going to kill my party off for my goal. I'm going to get my party to go near TPK. Because like, it's just one of those, like, if you wanted to get one of your players arrested because you needed to get in the jail, and so you planned this escape so you can get inside, that's part of the story. But what I mean is, like, your agenda could be to find your dad. So you're going to join this group and you're going to adventure together. You're not going to do anything that would harm the general progress of the campaign, but your dad is still your mission. So that's what I mean is I'm a very big proponent of that, but so I love stories like this where players have their own understanding of what's going on, but everyone has a different understanding.
I'll say for me, and I'm totally fine with putting players in conflict with each other, but when players give me their backstory, and just like what you're saying, like I feel like every player needs to have a reason for existing, reason for being out in the world, reason for getting up in the morning and doing whatever it is that you do. Like there's got to be some reason you're doing it, and whatever that reason is, I feel like, and maybe this is not my job, but this is the job that I personally take on. I take whatever that reason is and I incorporate it into the finer fabric of my world, and more than that, of the story that all of these people are about to enter into. And so every single one of them has a reason to be a part of this particular story, whether they realize it or not. And so what I like about it is, for every person, your reason for adventuring is the most important thing to you. It's going to be more important than these random people here. Now, if these random people can help further you to your goal, you might have a reason to get closer to them and might have a reason to care for them more and all of this other stuff. That's great. But at the same time, maybe your reason is just to gain power and these people are just a means to an end.
Right.
But they're still a means to an end.
Right.
So you're going to protect them because they're your tools that are going to help you get to it.
And
so
to me, it doesn't matter as long as you don't selfishly turn your goal, again, to the purposeful detriment of the party. Like, again, if your story requires you to backstab them, give up their location, but you're going to come back to it, like, that's fine. Just when you put your story to the point to where you're ruining their game. Again, it's totally fine to have those inner conflicts, but you shouldn't be like trying to kill each other more than the BBEG.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm just saying. So, but telling players different pieces of information, sharing different things, I love that. Like, I'm the kind of DM, and you know this, I have rules against it. Like, your character sheet's your character sheet. Only you and me are the only ones with unfettered access.
Sure.
Like, there's not again, I don't believe in hiding things from the DM, but it's also not for my meta use. It's just so I can make sure that the game runs smooth. If you want to do something, I'm not going to say, well, my NPCs now know you're doing that. I just want to make sure that when you fucking drop it on the whole party, I can roll with it. Sure. And you don't derail everything I had planned because now suddenly I have to rethink, well, what the fuck does that spell mean? But still, with that, you want to tell a cohesive story. But again, everyone has their own motivations, like you mentioned. Everybody has a reason to be there. And I want that reason to be a motivator for being with the party, not, well, the party is just getting in my way.
Yeah. Like, it really frustrates me when people are out here for the purposes of, we'll say, kind of just being a dick. Like, they want to antagonize. They're rage baiters in the party. It's like, I'm just here to, like, see who I can get pissed off, who I can get mad, all that. I'm like,
they're the ones that think there's a win condition to the game.
Here's the deal. I'm totally down with letting the rest of the players fuck you up, basically. It's like, you're going to be a dick, then you're going to experience the consequences of what it's like. It happens all the time in these I've discovered, you and I were talking about something earlier, and I was like, I might end up getting rid of my Crunchyroll, and this is kind of why. Because so often in a lot of these animes, you run into, like, everything's an exposition. They have to, like, articulate everything. And it's like, I don't need to be talked to like I'm 5, right? Like sometimes there's these very over the top, like, arrogant characters that are just meant to portray, but that's sometimes what these actual players are trying to be. There's these over the top, arrogant, I'm the coolest thing since sliced bread. And, like, so often you're watching these shows and you're just like, you need to get smacked down. You need to get taught. And I'm like, listen, I'm gonna let the world be the world and you experience.
And that's the thing too, is like, it's so interesting of a balance, because as open as my world is, as much as, every character has their own agenda and is free to do what they want, right? Like, every player is free to go on their own solo campaign and break away from the party. I do not require any kind of combination or collaboration, right? But if you're going to run with a party, like, unless the narrative is that you guys are having a conflict, don't conflict too hard, right? Don't conflict too hard where we can't play the game.
Sure.
Like, I get it. You can backstab them, you can be arrogant, you can be a jerk. It's part of your character arc, but it should be for the betterment of everyone's gameplay, not just for you to win or to get what you want out of it. And exactly, if players want to respond to that, then yeah, I mean, if you stole everybody's money and you just constantly do it, and so they want to leave you and don't wake you up the next day, then you got left. Like, I don't think that matters. But in a world like that, where I'm totally fair where anyone can do one-on-one, I don't mind that. I offer that. But I would say that for the concept of party gaming, players do need to reconcile the fact that while player agency is important, while character autonomy is important, it's still a game. And if you're going to game with a party, it's a team-based game. So regardless of what kind of character you want to play, I mean, you and I constantly talk about how we love to get into our character. We play our character how they would be played.
Yeah.
But never has it ever, unless again, there's like this character murdered my family, my character cannot game with them. Like, unless it's that groundbreaking, there should never be a situation where I hate the concept of like, well, why might my player do that? Because you're playing a game with other people. That's why. Like it doesn't matter that you want to be this lone wolf. Find a reason to make it make sense for your character to run around with these people. If you don't like a character, find a reason to keep them alive. Not because, like, you could just be that asshole who says, if anyone's going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. Be that the reason. Sure. I don't care. It's still a game, right? Even as a DM who says you can play all you want, you can be one-on-one, and you can do whatever you want. You can go in and out. I mean, you've been in and out of gaming groups with Doft.
Yeah.
You're a one-on-one player, but you have been in and out of at least 3 different gaming groups by happen chance. But while you were free to leave at any time, the idea was that you had a reason to be there, even if it wasn't a good reason for your character.
I mean,
it was, but I'm just saying, but it was still a flow. It was the gameplay. I'm here with this group. I'm gonna game with this group until I'm no longer gaming with them, right? But it's that mindset of those players who derail the game for the well, I want to go do this, but the party doesn't. Well, I'm just gonna make everyone else not have fun.
If that happens to me, it is a scenario where I'm honestly set up like, hey guys, so this is what's going on with my character's past. This is all this stuff. If this goes forward this way, my character will likely stop adventuring with you guys. Like, and again, no disrespect to you guys. It's just, there's no way that I can reconcile them continuing along this mission with things going this direction.
But what you're not doing is giving them an ultimatum of, hey, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not playing this. If you guys go this way, then I'm just going to blow up the town. Like,
Sure.
You're not ruining their gameplay by not doing what you want to do. You're recognizing this is the point at which my character needs to diverge. And I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is you basically telling them, do it my way or I'm going to make your game suck.
Sure.
You know, that's... Now, if you were going to do that right before the BBEG fight, severely handicapping them, that's not a dick move. That, again, as long as it's in the perpetuity of, I'm not trying to ruin your game because of your choice, I'm trying to play my character.
Sure.
And I know the difference. Like, we know the difference of that. But it is those players who are just like, nope, if I don't get what I want, I'm going to make this game shit. And it's like, first off, I won't game with that. Like, I just won't even deal with that as a DM. But when people are out there, it's like, no, those kind of players have to realize, like, no matter how into playing your character are, it's a game. There has to be that level of understanding of, you just have to give in. I don't care how selfish your player is or your character is. Play in a team. Like, there's just some things that you have to accept. And I feel like that's those one of those rules where I feel like it's okay to bridge the gap between player agency and autonomy and playing the fucking game. Because no one wants to play with that. No one wants to play with you if you're just going to throw a hissy fit when you don't get your way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, all right. Any more questions from chat? We'll take like 1 or 2 more questions if anybody has them. Otherwise, we will say goodnight for now, and we will be back in like 12 and a half hours.
Yeah, wild. Yeah, absolutely. All
right, we got one more from Cart. Cart, send us home with the final question, and then we'll see you all in about 12 hours.
You got for me
for our 3-year anniversary subathon.
Ooh, yes, please.
Waiting on Cart. I mean, you had one more, but I mean, are you gonna give it to us?
What do I want to sing that song? Give it to me, baby.
Do you want to say hi to all the new people who haven't seen you? Hi.
Oh, shalom, my dear good sir.
Hi.
Welcome to the stream.
You want to say hi to everybody? Hi. No?
Oh, hey, guys. Oh, hey.
You want to just be a little jerk about it because you want to get food?
Oh, hey there.
You already got fed earlier.
I was about to say, I know you got fed.
Goodbye. All right, Cart. So if you ever have played Project Zomboid, Zomboid or Zomboid? double check on that one. I have played Project Zomboid. I don't know what Project Zomboid is. You know, when you were doing your character selection, you can choose to have the buffs in order to get certain attributes, attributes or pluses to other things. Do you think there's a functional way to apply it to D&D? Debuff's trying to say yes. Okay, so I know what you're talking about. So in Project Zomboid, like, you know, you could like take either like professions that would give you certain boosts and attributes, or you can like custom choose them, right? So you could take like a reading boost as like a reading attribute, so you'll read books faster. Some of these would give you perks, other things would give you detriments, right? And it was kind of a balancing thing. So for every like 2 good attributes, it would require you to take a bad attribute, because you had like this number system to where you can
Interesting.
So it's like, it was like a buy system. So every good attribute added to your number, and every bad attribute lowered your number, and you had
to stay under a certain amount.
Exactly.
Got you.
So you had to give and take. You couldn't just get all good ones. So it's like you could read really fast, but you might have asthma.
Okay.
So you just wouldn't be able to sprint very long. Or you could be really, really stealthy, but you can't see well at night. Those are like just options, right?
Okay.
So the question being, do you think there is a functional way to apply this in D&D? Yes. First of all, multiple editions and multiple supplemental books have added things like this. I mean, you have like traits and feats, or traits and features and flaws. Usually is where this started. There are other ways to implement this. There's not as much of a hard-coded rule, because realistically speaking, when you're making your character, like, everything does that, right? When you choose your class, when you choose your background, all of these things are giving you things like proficiency. Are you proficiency in acrobatics? Do you have more? Does it give you more wisdom? Realistically, that is what all of those aspects are. Now, when it comes to Project Zomboid, the downside is A, the complexity of D&D is greater than Project Zomboid, and B, there's not as much specific times when attributes like this would be worth it. So, for instance, let's take the reading example, right? If you take the reading feature in Project Zomboid, means you can read faster. Books give you experience points. You can read a book on woodworking, you get experience in woodworking, therefore you can build faster, like in the game. And realistically, what books did is they actually give you multipliers. So you would spend in-game time to read a book. That book would then give you a multiplier. So when you did the thing you read about, you would get more XP faster. Okay. So it was like a stacking thing, right? So if you get the reading feature, you read books faster and get a higher multiplier. That's legit. Totally great. So you could say aspects like that exist in D&D when it gives you a plus to your wisdom. Anything that's a wisdom save now has a higher chance, right? That is that aspect. Skills saving throws are the same thing as those attributes, but there's not as many specific times where that attribute is going to be called upon, right? You don't, like in AD&D, where High Point's mostly focused on, we had things like learn spell. Like you have to roll to learn a spell. So that is much more of an attribute like we're talking about, right? Where certain things would change that percentage on whether or not you'd have a chance to spell, to learn it. We also had things like spell fail, where you had a chance to just straight up fail casting a spell.
Fair.
So these things did get modified based on features and aspects and attributes that you did during character development, but we've lost a lot of that in 5e for the sake of convenience and mechanics.
True.
So is there a space for it? Yes. The problem that you run into is the complexity. One, how do you make such an attribute that doesn't directly affect already a saving throw and or ability check? Then the other side of it is, how do you do it in such a way that's also going to be usable long term? Because again, I don't read a lot in D&D, so the idea of getting our attribute to read faster, and it's just an example, but how often is that, is choosing such an attribute, like it's kind of like a character trait or a flaw or a trinket. We've talked about this. Those parts about building a character often get forgotten because D&D 5e doesn't really lean into a lot of roleplay. It doesn't benefit with roleplay. And so when you get these things like trinkets or a flaw, unless you're really, really into representing it, the game doesn't care. The game will forget about it as fast as you do, right? If you say, oh, I'm always selfish, so I always try to get, I never tip very much. Sure. That's my flaw. I don't tip. Unless you are always going to the bars, unless tipping culture is important to the DM, you and they will forget about that the moment you stop saying, I don't tip.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, because again, when someone says that's 1 gold and you say, I don't tip, there's 1 gold. Unless the DM's going to react to that, well, it's like they charged you 1 gold. Why do they care? You know what I mean? Like it really, unfortunately, I think there is a space, but it only works in the way, I don't want to sound pompous when I say this, but it really only works in the way, I have no better way to say these words, so do not take what I say as static as it is.
Okay.
But there's really no better way to do it than the way I do it, which is the uncodified special attributes you get when you character create. And I give everybody a freebie of one thing you can do that came from how you built your character, right? You get this thing that you can do.
Sure.
And then later you can add to that. Like, so Dov got the, you were able to control dust to know if someone is in a room because you can feel whether or not the dust lifted off the ground.
Sure.
So you don't know objects, but you can tell where objects are actually touching the ground versus where you were able to lift. That's a unique feature. Could any bender technically learn that? Sure. But that is not a codified, every bending class will have that feature.
Sure.
That was something Dovd learned, Dovd got, that is a feature, an attribute that Dovd has. There is absolutely a place for it. But does that mean that I should have that codified and on an endless, ever-evolving list for someone to be like, oh, I like that power?
Sure.
It doesn't make sense for every bender to use. Why would every bender learn how to do that? You could make an excuse for why why another one uses it, because it could have been a common trope, but that wasn't what I wanted for your character. Your character learned it by your abilities.
Sure.
Is there an explanation for why others might know it? Yes, but it doesn't need to be codified to where it exists very rampantly. So it's very obvious that anybody could know it because, well, everyone knows how to do that. That's what I think these features belong. Is yes, they belong, but they belong in micro situations where it could be very beneficial or not very beneficial, but it only makes sense for you to have it. That's when this works best, in my opinion. And that's what I say. It sounds more egotistical because I'm sure there's better ways to codify it, but in my opinion, for specifically Zomboid-like attributes, do it one by one. Do it when it makes sense for that character to have that trait because of that reason.
I would have to be more familiar with, the type of selection of things that Zomboid has to offer. I definitely agree, like something specifically like reading, like that's really not like it. That's going to be something that's going to be more based on the character rather than, like you're saying, something that's codified.
I mean, there's a lot of things like, some of them, they like have farsightedness. So like, the screen blurs out, sooner than before.
Sure.
Others can see in the dark better. So dark vision, night vision again. So some of these things are already in D&D. Dark vision basically is the same thing, right? Being a rogue means you can sneak better. Sneaking is a Project Zomboid feature, right? Because you want to sneak around zombies so you make less noise. So there's a lot of features that are already there, but those other ones aren't good enough to be codified.
I'll say this. I think 5th edition could do with something similar to what 2nd edition calls proficiency points.
Yes.
What I mean by that is there are some, because you have feats and that's kind of their version, but feats I feel like are big.
Yes.
They happen specifically on specific level ups. It's not every level. It's only every so often.
They're much more earned.
I think they could do for smaller things that you get outside of that you can develop as you go. I think there's definitely something to be said for if you try to like just spam too many of these things, like there's going to be some detriments that you occur. And I think there might be something to articulate about that, but I think that there's a world in where you can gain smaller things that are codified. I love the things that we're talking about, like with what Dobbs can do, because I think that so much of those things are spurred on because of creativity. And
yes.
like you're not going to come across these things, naturally. You're going to come across these things. You're not going to come across these things, in a book. You're going to come across these things because a need arose for you and you were like, I want to solve this problem with what I have. How do I go about doing that? I really want to do better about this. I really want to figure out what works for me. Like, how do I want to tackle this? And so, but like there are other things where it's like you know, it would be cool to be able to, you know, imagine if there was like a small feature where I could just make any cloak billow instead of just my cloak, instead of just the cloak of billowing. You know what I mean? Like stupid stuff like that. Like give me a proficiency point.
And we've talked about this in terms of the like minute magic, where a blacksmith that can control the heat, but it's not magical with spells, but they have minute magic. They have the ability to still manipulate things. And you know, like you know, someone who has minute magic, like you know, I like to think of like the D&D version of magic tricks as minute magic. So like we think of magic tricks as, oh, it's sleight of hand, you're just palming it. Sure. But imagine a D&D person who literally can make it transport to their pocket. All they can do is take a coin and go boop, it's in my pocket now. Yep. It's not sleight of hand, it wasn't pocketed. They literally can go boop and it disappeared and it's in their pocket. But that's it. That's the extent of their magic. They have no spells, but they can, maybe they can animate like a little tiny, you know, like they carving, and then they can make the carving animate for 10 seconds. Sure. That's not a spell. It's not animate object. It's just this minute physicality of magic where, again, it just, I love those ideas, right? And that's, again, I think some of it can be codified, and then others, again, my codification is what makes sense for your character to be able to do that's not so impactful that it changes how you would have played the game otherwise, but is impactful enough to make you feel unique. And that's actually the best codification I can give for when you're thinking about giving your players extras that the book doesn't, is make it worth it, but also don't make it so impactful that they couldn't play the game without it. Like you want to make sure that the game experience they're going to have is going to be the same whether they didn't have it or not, but make it worthy enough to use and still be beneficial. And you know, it's a convenience factor.
The best mindset I can even have for any sort of codification is not for the fact that it's codified, but for the fact that it gives you inspiration to jump off of. It's like, okay, these types of things. So when you start looking at things and you're trying to help people manage the scale of what they can and can't do, because a lot of the time people will look at it, well, like, okay, well, if you want a blacksmith to be able to keep his hammer tight, well, I want to be able to make somebody's armor go off. No, that's a spell, heat metal. Like that it's not the same. Well, all I'm doing is heating metal. Like that's just a little thing. It's like I should be able. So you have, like, being able to put some of these things in here just gives people a concept of like, okay, I see in which the scale we're trying to do things. It's just not necessarily something someone's wearing. Like there's certain limitations to what I can do. Like it's meant to be a small kind of element to my character that I feel would be beneficial. Like just imagine, like I was able to, like during my meditation, say I was a monk, right? And I carried a blade. Like during my meditation, like I just had this whetstone just going across. Like that's the only thing I have telekinetic abilities over. It's just a little whetstone that I use to sharpen my blade, and then I'm ready to freaking go once I'm done meditating. Like just little things like that. Like I think that it does add something, and it would give you, like, imagine I wanted to like throw that whetstone. It's not the end of the world if I could throw my whetstone, but it is my whetstone. Like
it's still just a rock, but hey, you know, it's one extra item that you didn't normally have.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. Very interesting.
Is he actually? Oh, okay. I thought he was behind the couch for some reason. Yeah. So, I think that totally a place. It's just, you want to make it feel not so impactful it changes the game, but so impactful that it does make that character feel like they got something nobody else did. Because really, the uniqueness factor, I think, is underplayed in D&D. Everyone wants to build these crazy builds that anybody could build. But there's a factor I like about High Point where no matter who you are, no matter what character you create, you are going to be able to stand out in a way that nobody else can.
Yeah.
Whether it's in a feat that I let you have, or an ability, or just the way that you thought about doing something, I'm going to go beyond what the codification is because you should stand out in your own unique way.
You know what's crazy is I do the exact same thing, but in a very extreme way. Like I give everybody access to all the standard classes and all this other stuff, and like you can build all that if you want to. But whenever any new player comes to me and says, I want to create a character, I just say, what kind of character do you want to create? And if something exists for it, then great, go build it based off of that. But if nothing exists for it, well, let's see how you want to manifest it.
How do we make it work?
Like,
and this is why I preferred 2nd edition over 5th, because with 5th, you just have to select the best, closest subclass to create one. But in 2nd edition, it's like, well, you want these features and these features. Okay, well, just dual class here and then take these feats and I'll give you this one special feature. And yes, you say that you're a rogue ranger, but let's face it, what you are is a silent sniper assassin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can tell me that you want to be a sniper assassin and you're like, well, I don't really want to be like a rogue and a thief and all that. It's like, rogues aren't thieves. Rogues are silent and the rangers are the distance, right? But with that combination, we can build out the rest. You know, we can give you all the feats you want. It doesn't matter what we call you. Like the mechanics aren't necessarily what your character represents. Again, but honestly, I love the.
I'm almost even willing to like flip home because like there's one of my players. They created 2 characters in my world, and both of them have been classes that do not exist. One of them was a summoner class, and it was based upon a book that they had brought with them from like some book series that they were reading, and it was just had like a list of creatures in it, and I kind of work with them like as we were going to develop it, as we were like basically play testing it as you were trying it. But you know, based upon like the creatures, like it's in the book they had different levels for the creature, like would depend on like how many you could have. Like as you got more, you could be able to handle having more of these summons out at a time.
Yeah, perfect.
The more powerful one was, you know, the more
like,
you know,
like
energy it took up.
Yeah, it's like 5 level 1s or 1 level 5
exactly.
combination. Yeah.
And so it was so cool for us to, and the new one that they created is all about tarot cards, and like they wanted each one of the tarot cards to almost like bring out a new personality, because like they're like this jester type creature.
Oh,
and, like, their
wow.
mask is gonna like change, and like their personality and their emotions are all tied to these tarot cards, whichever one they pull out.
Those always sound like fun characters, but they're so hard to play. They're so hard to play.
You know, I'm like, I love to see like the imagination that they go with it. And I even gave them, there's this item in 5th edition called the Robe of Useful Items, and I turned it into basically like the clown car of things, right? So they can just pull one of these random items out of one of their pockets, whether it's like a comically large hammer or one of those scarf things that just never ends, or you know, just a freaking rabbit, because I have rabbits in random places. Like I absolutely love that kind of stuff, man.
Yeah, someone always, whenever you're like rolling stats, this is one of the reasons why I also kind of prefer like making characters one-on-one with my players, and just like, because I want to introduce them into the world. I want to, you know, indulge them. Like I'm totally for DMs who bring everyone together and build, like at session 0, build the stories and build the backstories and why everyone knows each other.
Sure.
I kind of like doing that, like in sense of like Old Gods, when you all did that, that's fine. Like when everybody's in that. But when it comes to like normally, unless there's a very dedicated group who wants to do a dedicated campaign together, like Faction 5 or Old Gods, more often than not, it's no, you live here. You live in this world, your character matters. This is why the individual agendas matter. Mm-hmm. Because once you create that character and know why they're here, what their motivations are, and what their agendas are, then we can worry about why and how you're rolling with this group. When did you meet them and why are you sticking around? Sure. Because that's part of the story. If they're going to go help you get into the castle you need to break into, then boom, there's your answer. Like it doesn't, again, that answer doesn't have to be anything more than means to an end. But individually developing your character outside of everybody else is such a better experience in my opinion, because again, you get them more invested, they get more what they want. And kind of like what Ace had brought up is, you know, there's times where, funny enough, you try to make a great ass character and then someone else just has better stats roll. And when you're dealing with other players, you have sometimes this feeling of, you hear what someone else does and you're like, well, if they're going to do that, then I either want something complementary or I don't want something similar. And it's like, that's great if you are trying to have perfect party cohesion and pre-plan it. But in my realm, it's like, it doesn't matter if you're a healer and he's a healer. If 2 healers meet up, what do you think? They're like, no, we can't travel together. We do the same thing. No, like people just group up to group up. I don't care as much about your composition unless that matters to you guys. Sure. But for me, I don't care if there's 5 fighters and you all want to play a fighter and then you want to group up. Guess what? Arena time. Where else are you going to go with 5 fighters? But there's so much more to be had when everybody wants to play their character, not feels obligated to fill in or feels bad when somebody else, it's one thing to be like, man, I was really hoping to get like the best strength character for this group, but you know what? I only got a 17, but hey, that's pretty good. And then someone goes, oh, I got a 20. And you're like, I was trying to be like the strength character, but every little thing they do is just slightly better, not antagonizingly.
Sure.
But like, oh, I want to be the strongest character. Well, I have a 20 of strength. Well, I can't be the strongest anymore. But if you independently created the strong character and they independently created the not strong character with a stronger stat, but then you two meet, that's much more enticing of oh, you're also a strong character. I respect that. Versus oh, well, should I just dump it into dex then? Like, should we have a dex and then a strength? Sure. You know what I mean? Like, you feel more like you need to fill a role instead of being confident in oh, 2 strength guys? Let's have some fun with this. You wouldn't think that if you're trying to build a cohesive group. You'd be like, sure, I don't want 2 of us. Like, are you like a tank? Are you a fighter? Because I wanted to be tank. Whereas no, if you just show up.
I think there's an element of, because I will say I very much do the same thing that you're doing. I think I inevitably end up going through that process with every individual person at the table, and then I'm like, all right, how do you guys want to know each other type deal? Because it's like, first of all, I want to know about you and who you are and what your character is, because I want to know like what you're actually going to enjoy playing at this table, because nothing else really matters other than that, you know? And so once you figure out what you're going to enjoy playing, then I'll figure out how you guys work together. But if you're trying to do what you're talking about and be like, oh, you have a higher strength than me, so I guess I don't need strength, like that feels very much like a min-maxy party. Like that tells me a lot about what matters to this party. It's like, okay,
but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it feels again like they think that they need to. They think that the game deserves, or that's why I say like when you are together and you guys are like hearing each other's stats, you're going to be more affected than if you just meet and go, oh, I'm also a tank. Sure. Oh, we got 2 tanks in the party. I feel like that's way more enticing than building 2 tanks and then you debating, should we have 2 tanks, right? You start off the debate negative. You start off the debate questioning it. Whereas if you both show up ready to be the tank and you're like, there's 2, and then you start thinking, wait a minute, what can we do with 2 tanks side by? What if we go back to back? You start getting more, you see that this is what you have to work with. Whereas before you question, can we work with it? And again, that's just the way that I do it. But also I'll leave it with this because we're 3.5 hours in and we have a subathon tomorrow.
Fair enough.
So I will post the Discord in chat one more time, as well as all our social links. If you haven't followed us just yet, please do so. We have a subathon and it is our 3-year anniversary tomorrow. Love to see you. But I'll leave you all with this. One thing I think I do a little bit uniquely, which kind of plays to exactly all of this last like 20-30 minutes that we've been talking, is, and I don't know how I would ever explain this to people, like really dive into this concept, but I think one thing that sets me aside and what sets High Point aside is very similar to how we were talking about developing characters and bringing them into a party. Regardless of how I'm playing, I don't care if I have 1 person in front of me or 6. Every person is playing their own game with me. And that's how I truly view when I DM is even though you two are gaming together, you have always been, and everything's been going the same. When it's your turn, it is you and me. And I don't mean I'm ignoring everybody else. You have my undivided attention, but I mean your experience. Like, you theater the mind different than Vixie does. So when it's your turn and when you and I are engaging and exchanging information, you and I are exchanging it in your game. But from your character's perspective, from your character's knowledge, and from how the world reacts to you. Then when I switch to Vixie, it's her knowledge, her perspective, and how the world reacts to her.
Yep.
Now, granted, the enemy still sees both of you, but your perspective is only yours.
And even when you're describing like what's happening, you can describe, you know, Vixie as a part of what's happening to me, because, you know, Vixie's in the world that I see, but it is my world right now in this moment, because I'm acting and I'm interacting with other things. And there's other times where it's Vixie's world and they're interacting with whatever it is that they're interacting with. Right. Now, I might be a part of it, I might be there, but it's still that moment in time.
Shared knowledge, like you both saw the light happen, but you were the one that felt the heat from it first.
Sure.
For whatever, like, again, but that matters to you more than it does to her. And that's why you noticed it. Whether it's because you needed to notice it because it's part of your character arc and the story, or whether it's because a special feature of yours. But that feature is not for her to care about why that happened. It's your story. So unlike a story where I'm like, oh, yeah, you guys see the light on and the monk, because of these reasons, feels the radiating. No one needs that experience. The whole party doesn't need that experience. You do. And that's where it's like, DMs may be like, well, of course, all my players are playing their own game. It's like, but in my head, when I'm gaming the group, it is gaming 6 different games at once. You all just happen to be in the same location, right? You all are hearing the same info, but I am still keeping track of the nuanced things that you're paying attention to, and the fact that you're not paying attention at all in game. Like, I know the characters. Like, to me, that's the difference. It's not, this is a party and the world and this party are in the same location. It's, these are 6 different stories
still
all being told at the same time.
One of my favorite moments in my game is when I actually thought about it for a while, and I didn't decide whether this was going to be canon or not until the moment that I actually executed it. But I was thinking about it, like, could this be, like, how likely is it for this to be the case? And it was one of my players. He has like this huge backstory of a bunch of clans and stuff, and like there was like a split between these clans because they were this united clan, and then there was like a division, and now there's like this like, like civil war that's happening. And so one of the things is like all the people that like rebelled against like the original order, like the way things that usually were, they had this motto of theirs, and that they would like say it whenever they would like, it's basically like how they knew that the other person was a part of like their side, like. And so they were in doing this thing, and they were adventurers. They were way far away from any of the people that he knew, and so they ended up running into these 2 people that were just these asshole adventurers that were like trying to screw them over. And as they figured out that they were hired by somebody else to stop them or whatever, this one of the 2 people that was in that group, as they're about to like escape and run away and teleport or whatever, he like speaks this quote to him as almost like a screw you type deal. And I said it to him. At first he didn't recognize it, but like when that like look of recognition comes across their face and they realize what happened in their world, everybody else is looking around like,
yeah,
like, I don't know what's happening. It's like,
but that call at that moment, it's like, oh, this is my moment. This is my,
this is like, oh.
And that's what I like to play to is, you can have all these people, but it's like, if you as the DM know all of their motivations, that's where the descriptions matter, right? Like, you could just tell somebody, oh yeah, the cleric goes down. But if you know that, one person and the cleric always fight, that's how you could be like, oh yeah, you see the cleric go down, your best friend hits the ground bloody. Like, you change it because it matters to that character. So it's like, that's what I mean by, it's not just playing the narrative game of who's paying attention. It's what story do I have to tell, and how do I have to get it across to everybody in the room?
Hearing you say that, like, I would love it if it was like player A's turn, and on player A's turn something happens and they accidentally make player B go down, and then instead of talking to player A, I turn to player C, and I'm gonna say, out of the corner of your eye, your best friend. I don't even talk to them. They're gonna hear me say this person goes down, and that's really all the information that they need. But you need to know that whatever it is that you were fighting on, whatever it is that you were doing before, you have like a out of the corner of your eye on this person that's your best friend all the time, and so obviously you're gonna be aware of what's going on, and you're like in the zone, you're fighting like you always do, and all of a sudden you see them hit the floor and they don't move.
Yeah,
they are dead solid, and like, I'll make you roll on the traumatized table
exactly
now, like,
but that's the call out. That's the call out to say that this is no longer a fight between the party and the bad guys. This is now you are. It's kind of like the old noir movies where it's like the lights go down and the spotlight comes on that way. It's like, nope, everything go down.
Absolutely,
you are now literally in the spotlight. This is your moment. Let's run through it, and then back to the game, and then let's focus in on you. Now you have and that's the thing is, like, every character will have that opportunity if you engage with their entire character, right? If you engage with everything they've built, there's a way to make them all feel like they have that moment. And that's what I try to strive for is, I want you to play your character regardless of who else is in the room, because your character is what's important to you, not the party. Now, granted, unless you came together for that purpose, but even in that purpose, you said, you need that motivation.
Even in that purpose, that person is valuable to that character for what reason?
Yes.
Right? And because how often IRL is, yeah, I care a lot about this person, but only because I don't want to lose them. Not necessarily.
It still all comes down to the individual
connection. Yeah, like what is your connection? Why
like,
are you
again,
so attached to that?
Old Gods was created because you and Vixie wanted to do a type of campaign together. So that was one was designed from the ground up to be played by you two, like not two individuals coming together for a short time. Like this was fully meant to be played together, but you both have very drastic understandings of what the purpose is, right? You're motivated by this endless need to discover this mystery, and your sister's motivated by this endless need to make sure that her moneymaker doesn't fucking die on this adventure so you can go back on concert tour and she can become rich. Like, that was the original premise of everything. Was you were like, I'm about to go unlock the mysteries of the universe, and she's just like, as long as you're back before tour, and then that's your adventure, right? But that's the beauty of it, is realizing what her goals are. Her goals are focused on you, and your goals are focused on this thing.
And I fully expect like those goals likely eventually to evolve and adjust.
Oh, they definitely have, I think, already. And I mean, you guys have already realized you're involved in something much more than what you thought was just this. As a bard, I'm gonna find the best story in the world. Now it's I'm gonna save this story for the world. Like it's the same thing, but it's a different mental shift. Whereas again, your sister went from you're being this crazy person, I got to keep you alive, to I've got to keep us alive while whatever the hell you're doing is like, again, same thing, but it evolves with the situation. But neither of you have the same reason to be there, but you both have a reason to be there. And that's the game I like to play. You know, when you met his name escapes me. But when you met the servant on that one island that sang with you, that one that you really both thought was crazy. It's situations like that where that has nothing to do with her, but that was a moment for you to just do. But did she get a lot of engagement, a lot of like, the fuck's going on here? Okay. Sure. Again, you both got to interact with it, but it wasn't meant for her. It wasn't nothing to do with her progress.
Sure.
But it's moments like that where, again, it wouldn't have been as impactful if you both were equally as impacted by this guy. Like, he needed to impact you for a different reason than he impacted her. And I really enjoy doing stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's what I enjoy as being a DM. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people become a DM because I think people see the DM as an opportunity to just always be able to have the last like word of cool,
charge, be in control.
Yeah, just because you as a player, you always want that opportunity to be cool, and then you're like, well, as a DM, everything I do is cool. But then you start to ebb and flow, and you start to realize, like, I don't know, I love being a DM because, again, when you guys make me have to change the story, or when I think I know what's going to happen and you throw me a curveball, that's the same way as me giving you a puzzle. You know what I mean? You gave me something I have to now work around. When the BBG thinks you're going to surrender and you don't, that is the same as you getting in a random encounter.
Sure.
I assumed you were going to surrender and you were like, nah, we're going to fight this out. That's just like me. I'm like, oh, that's my game today. Like that. Now wasn't prepared for a fight, and now I have to think about being in battle. Like, so many DMs prepare everything that they forget that part of it is not knowing what's going to happen. So you can play the game too.
Yeah.
Your game isn't always in prep. Your game is also live at the table.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of DMs give up on that. And that's, to me, why I became a DM. It wasn't to make the rules. It wasn't to homebrew. It wasn't to be the last say and decide what happens. Right. It was because
that's my side of the game.
Yeah. I loved when I played. I loved solving problems, and being in the world that I have, my players create more problems to solve than I ever could.
I've made that my primary, but almost out of, because I didn't start DMing because I wanted that. I started DMing because other people made me. Not really, but it was more out of necessity than anything else. I was the one that people just called for to, like, hey, can you do the thing for us? And I'm like, sure, let's do it. But I definitely found that is my favorite way to interact as a DM, because so often it's like I get the excitement out of trying to figure out what to do in these scenarios, how to respond in these moments, what makes the most sense here. And because just like I, as the DM, give a little bit of pushback to my players when they try to do something that's outside of the bounds of what makes sense, sometimes if something makes sense to me, but my players are like, what, like that's breaking my immersion, like what's going on, like I'm open to pushback from my players if they notice something or see something that doesn't make sense about what I'm trying to present to them. And I think that's for me what helps, you know, just like what we do here, iron sharpens iron. We're out here trying to figure out, okay, this makes sense to me, but it doesn't make sense to me. Okay, what am I missing? What do you see that I'm missing? What do I see that you're missing? All of that stuff. So I don't know. I
theater of the mind stress testing. That's what we do.
Yes, and I like it. You know, because I'm such a we'll say play by experience DM. Like there's a lot of DMs that like have got a lot of foundation and then they build on top of that. I am not that. I had little to no experience, and
you really started DMing really soon.
Way too soon. Like way too soon. It was just, that's why to this day I call it ghetto D&D. Like I can't even like call it just, hey, we're playing Dungeons and Dragons. No, we're not. We're playing some bullshit that I made up.
We're playing a storytelling
game that reminisces of Dungeons and Dragons. All right, it's as close to Dungeons and Dragons as Baldur's Gate is. Right, fair. Baldur's Gate is close, but it's not the same. Except you know, Baldur's Gate's got a lot more consistency.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not consistent, but chaotic. Whatever.
It's more repeatable.
Consistently chaotic. There whatever.
All right.
Times. Good times. Indeed.
That brought us another 15 minutes of ranting, so, you know, love it.
Top tier.
Can't get us to shut up. Anyway, y'all, that's going to be us for tonight. It is 11 o'clock. We are going to call it because we have less than 12 hours now, officially less than 12 hours until the 3-year anniversary subathon. So come back tomorrow. We will be here in about 12 hours. We'll be live. We'll be doing a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to be potentially painting. You guys are going to be able to vote. So at the top of every hour as we go, there'll be a vote for the next hour's theme. We can do image to item, rapid fire review, or we're just going to take a bunch of small stuff, quickly review it. We'll do maybe a live play. We have some random rants kind of like this where you guys can just give us some questions. We'll rapid fire what we can. And then we have a bunch of redeems. We have sour stuff, spicy stuff, nasty stuff. We have alcoholic stuff that you guys can win. And you can even win an opportunity to sit down with us for an hour and we'll play games with y'all. So come back tomorrow. We would love to see you. Follow if you want to see more of us. If not, thank you, Raiders, for sticking around. We do appreciate y'all.
Man, you guys are awesome.
But otherwise, that's going to be us for the rest of the night. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope you have a fantastic weekend ahead of you. We will be here for a couple hours tomorrow, so I hope you stop by. Otherwise, if not, we will be here again on Monday, as we always are every Monday with Homebrew Review, and every Friday with regular D&D or video game content. But I hope you have a good rest of your night. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.